Chris, if you want to call roll, establish a quorum, see what we got here, that'd be great.
Okay.
We know that Ken's not going to be here today. Is Mary Fagan going to be here today?
Mary Fagan and Ken will not be here today. Ken might join later this afternoon if we
Perfect.
still have a
Okay.
board meeting going at that point.
Okay, then we're all here, or you're all here.
Is Jovita on?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right.
No, it's not. Jovita, go ahead and turn on your camera.
I can see her. Her camera's on.
Okay.
Oh, there you are.
It was disabled, but Yvonne helped me.
Oh,
Yeah, until you're made a panelist, you can't turn your camera on.
and that's
Which
Mark.
panel? Okay.
Mark's the one that elevates you to panelist. He's
Okay.
our BRN moderator.
All right. So I'll.
All right. It's all yours, Dolores.
Ready to go. First agenda item, call to order, roll call and establishment of a quorum. Dolores Trujillo, I am elected president of the BRN. I am a RN in the direct care role, nominated by the governor, commissioned by the governor. Imelda?
Good morning. This is Imelda Seja Butkwitz, appointed by the governor as a public member. Welcome, everybody.
Jovita?
Rita Dominguez, direct patient care, elected by the governor and a member of the board.
Susan?
Good morning, Susan Naranjo, public member appointed by the speaker.
Betty?
Good morning. Elizabeth Woods, appointed by the governor in the advanced practice role.
Lori?
I am Lori Melby. I'm the board's executive officer appointed by the board.
And Reza. Is Reza on?
Yes, good morning. Reza Pejikash, board's legal counsel.
Thank you, Reza. So I believe we have a quorum. So we can get started where we left off yesterday. Item 8.0, report of the Education Licensing Committee. Jovita Dominguez, chairperson.
And
Starting
Jovita, we're on 8.8.
Yes, thank you very much. The NCLEX updates is 8.8.
Yes, good morning. Mary Ann McCarthy, Nursing Education Consultant and Liaison to the Education Licensing Committee. Agenda item 8.8, NCLEX updates. This is an information-only update, and it will be presented by Katie Dougherty, Nursing Education Consultant. Katie?
Mark, is she on?
She is on and she is elevated.
Okay.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Yes. Thank you, Katie.
Are you able to hear? Sure.
Yes.
Yes,
How are
we
you
can
Yes,
hear
this
you.
morning? First, great. First, I wanted to really welcome Chairperson Dominguez to the board. We're delighted to have you. As Mary Ann McCarthy indicated, this is an information only. Means typically that there's no board vote needed on these informational items. This morning, we're presenting 3 tables of data relative to NCLEX. You'll find this information in pages 248 through 250 of the committee materials. The first table that we're talking about, that's table 1 for the period 31/2021. I'm pleased to report that California had first-time test takers and a pass rate of 89.92%. Throughout the nation, that's the United States and its territories, including California, the 78,441 first-time test takers and a pass rate of 85.35. What this really indicates is California continues to really be well above the national rate. At this point in time, it's about 4.57 of the national rate for the 12-month rolling total. When you compare that with 2020, we were about 2.48 above the national pass rate total. And what's of note for this 12-month period is this marks the 4 quarters where they had the modified NCLEX test plan question numbers in place. So there was a minimum of 60 scored items and 130 maximum scored items. So California has done extremely well in terms of adopting to those modifications. Remember, there was a change in the length of the exam during this 4-quarter period. It went from 6 down to 4 and now is presently at 5. The next table is table 2, and this is again, the period April 1 through 2020 through March 31, 2021, and we're reporting on the January through March 2021 quarter. California had 2,589 first-time test takers and a pass rate of 89.42%. And once again, when you compare that with the national rate for the quarter, California is about 4.59% higher than the aggregated quarterly national rate. Again, just indicating how well California is doing in terms of pass rates, even with the test modifications in place. Typically, I also give you an idea of how California compares with other state board jurisdictions that have similar number of testers for the 12-month rolling total. Once again, California is number 1 in terms of the range of test takers of 8,300 to about 13,745 testers. That's followed by Texas, Ohio, and New York. In terms of quarterly comparison, again, California is number 1, followed by Illinois, New York, and Ohio. The other table 3, is the comparison of the most recent January through March pass rate results by degree type. Once again, California is performing higher than the national rate with the expected 2021 quarter-to-quarter result. California has had a range for the last 3 quarters of 87.2 to 91.5 as compared with the national, which was 78.4 to 84.8. Finally, I just wanted to call your attention to the fact that National Council has provided more information on the next generation NCLEX pass rate, NCLEX test. That exam, that next generation exam, is scheduled to be launched April 1 of 2023. Beta testing for the new exam will occur in April and December of 2022, 2022, or 2022. The minimum scored on board the next generation 70 scored items. Maximum will be 135 hours. Maximum will be 135, and the next generation exam.
Hey, Katie, I think we're losing you.
Sampling will remain at 5 hours. For information about the next generation, you've been provided a link.
Katie?
No, Katie, you're if you could turn off your camera,
Is it
maybe.
clear now?
It is
Is
not,
that-
Katie. Can you turn off your camera and see if that will help your
Now?
broadband,
Clear
your
now?
bandwidth? It is not clear, Katie. Can
Is-
you turn your, thank you.
Is it clear now?
No.
Sure. Are you able to hear me? Sure. Are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me better now?
No, it's very
Are you
garbled.
able to hear me
The
now?
connection seems to be bad. You could maybe have call in. Is that an option?
Hello?
We can hear you, Katie.
Are you able to hear me?
We can.
All right. So again, in terms of the next generation, did you hear that piece of information?
No, not very well.
I don't think people could hear it,
All
but
right.
from
Would
the
you like
last
me
thing
to
you said, it seems to be a little bit better. So maybe you can repeat it and.
Right. All right. I'm happy to repeat it, or the information is certainly included in the written materials. What's your pleasure?
Can you start with next gen, Katie, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
So for the next gen update, the expected exam launch date is April 1 of 2023. Beta testing will occur in April and December of 2022. The minimum scored on the next gen will be 70 scored items minimum and maximum 135, and the exam will remain at 5 hours. For more information, you can access the link to the detail about the next generation exam changes that's included in the report. That concludes my report unless there's any questions.
That's very good news for California, Katie. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Katie,
Congratulations
thank you
to
for
California.
putting those links in so that everyone can
Helps.
link in directly to that data. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Katie. And
Thank you.
And thank you for welcoming.
You're very, very welcome. Great to have you.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 8.9,
License.
licensing program update, information only. This will be presented by Christina Sprigg, Deputy Chief of Licensing. Christina, are you with us? Mark, do you see Chris? There she is.
I see her.
Christina.
There she is.
Christina, you're muted.
There you go. That's better. Good morning, everyone. My name is Christina Sprigg. I'm the Deputy Chief of Licensing, and I will be presenting the licensing update. I will start with our application processing. Currently, we are processing the initial review of exam and endorsement applications received in the months of March and April. Advanced practice applications received in April. Outgoing verifications received in March and April, and inactive to active and back to active requests received in the month of May. We continue our streamlining efforts in licensing to become more paperless, cross-train staff, and reduce processing times. Staff from other areas of the BRN were trained on various processes and assisted licensing, and we greatly appreciate their help. We will continue to identify and make process improvements, ensuring that our efficiencies are implemented. As Lori had discussed in the EO report yesterday, we do have some new online services. On April 7th of this year, additional online services were added to Breeze. Those services include online payment availability for requests for outgoing verifications, NCLEX results, and certified copies of transcripts. These newly added online payment services will eliminate mail and cashiering time, thus reducing the overall processing time for these various items. Our California Nursing Program transcripts, we do continue to receive these transcripts via the cloud. for California applicants and process those applications in order of transcripts. The transcripts are received. In January through March 2021, we did receive confirmation of graduating classes from 33 programs. And then I've provided the statistics information for that particular group on the chart below there. Our overall statistics, we do continue to use Qbert to create and run various reports. The licensing management team utilizes those reports to identify areas of improvement in our processes, to predict workflow fluctuations and assign workload to staff on a daily basis. We use the DCA annual report available via Qbert to gather our statistical information that I've provided in the charts below. Our average processing time statistics are gathered from application receipt to either approval of exam application or licensure of endorsement applications. For current fiscal year, as of April 20th, you can see that our processing times for exams has been 59 days and endorsements is 79 days. For our licensing applications received, which includes applications received by fiscal year, as of 4/20 of this year, our exams is 11,365. Our endorsements is 18,951. And I'd like to note that our endorsement application volume for our current fiscal year is higher in the month of April than the entire prior fiscal year. So our endorsement applications, the number of endorsement applications that we receive this year will be much higher than it has been in prior fiscal years. For our repeat reapply, we have 4,793, and then our advanced practice, 7,650 for an overall total as of April 20th of 42,759. Which is just under what we received last fiscal year. We anticipate, of course, that number could potentially be higher than last fiscal year for overall applications received. Our additional requests received outlines requests for verifications, our outgoing verifications, and reactivation of RN licenses. And this fiscal year, our out-of-state verifications, we've received 11,487. And our inactives to actives, 743. The out-of-state verifications is the transaction that did go online, so we do accept them online with availability for online payment. We anticipate that the processing time for those should go down based on the flow of those requests coming into the licensing unit. Any questions on the statistics? And then finally,
this is Imelda. I'm sorry. This is Imelda.
Yes.
I have a question. So let me move back here. Your out-of-state verification. Are these people that already have a license and want to come and practice in California and they have to take the NCLEX, or what exactly does that mean?
So the out-of-state verifications are individuals that are already licensed in the state of California, and they're asking us to verify their California licensure so that they can become licensed in another state.
So vice
So
versa.
it's here going out.
Yes.
So how about from coming in from another state, coming in and wanting to take the NCLEX here?
Would that be endorsed?
So endorsement applicants are already licensed in another state. They're not taking the NCLEX in California. But for that population, it is higher than it was last fiscal year. We have, so as of April 20th, we had 18,951 applications that we had received.
My question is, how long does it take for endorsements from the start to the end? I mean, if someone submits, it's my understanding someone has to submit the transcripts electronically, and then they'd have to submit the originals via email, US mail. How long does the process take?
So the chart above the actual applications received show the average processing time frame. And as of April 20th, it was 79 days. Of course, we are working to reduce that time frame. We do accept electronic transcripts for our endorsement applicants via third-party vendors. And then we also do still receive paper transcripts as well from programs that do not participate in any type of electronic transcript.
But it could be taking longer because you've got some vacancies, I see, correct?
We do have 3 vacancies. 2 of those vacancies are in our U.S. evaluations unit, and we are in the process of filling those vacancies.
And it looks like our endorsement numbers are up. So
Yes,
that's
they
more
are.
endorsements that you're processing. And
Yes,
it
that
looks
is
like
correct.
quite a few are coming into the state.
Yes, that is correct. We have seen a higher volume of endorsement applications coming into applicants coming into the state.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification, because I have been asked, you know, they called me and said, why is it taking so long? You know, so yeah, the lack of staff, the staffing issue is one of the things, but you know, so maybe we can maybe look and see how we can expedite that or get it going. I'm sure that we have a lot of traveling nurses wanting to come to California. So anyways, thank you for that information. It helps me understand better, and I can explain it a little bit better. Thank you, Christina.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, Christina.
Christina, this is
Yes.
Lori. I'd like to add additionally, with the endorsement process in, we did add a temporary license that is automatically given to them. So what that temporary license does is it does not delay them for receiving transcripts. So if there is a license, if there's a deficiency where they do not meet the California regulations for transcripts for our education, and if there's a delay in us receiving their transcripts, as soon as we receive fingerprint clearance back from DOJ, then they are issued a temporary license if they cannot be licensed. And I can allow Christina to speak more on that. That was something that we added this year to assist with the COVID pandemic and to allow for people to come in faster. And in fact, by doing that, we even waived the $100 fee that is attached to that transaction. And we gave that to anybody that applied for endorsement into California, so that we can assist with that process to get them here faster. Additionally, to your point, Dolores, where you mentioned that we had some vacancies, Christina did mention that other units have lended some staff support to assist with that process. It really shows that the BRN staff are working well together, and that is incredibly appreciated. But not only are endorsement numbers up, but our licensing numbers overall are up. Our licensing requests for first-time test takers and exams, those numbers are also increased. I sent those numbers out to our board members earlier this month. And from January, February, and March, we are up almost 500 applications just for those 3 months.
Wow.
Christina, if you want to talk more on the temporary license process, that might provide additional clarification to show that how you guys are running those reports and processing them in.
Absolutely. So on a daily basis, we do have various reports that our supervisors and managers run for staff for workload processing. Included in those are reports that provide us information on individuals that have where we've received fingerprint data overnight, and we're able to identify from those reports if we're able to issue a temporary license. In addition to that, so basically those reports are read in the morning. We assign that workload to staff. We will issue a temporary license if the permanent RN license is not ready to be issued. In addition to that, we have staff, when they are reviewing the endorsement application, if they have the necessary pieces of information to actually issue the temporary license, which are clear fingerprint responses, verification from another state, then they are able to go ahead and issue the temporary license if they're not able to issue the permanent. So it is something that has been worked into their normal day-to-day process when they are evaluating endorsement applications, as well as an expedited process in the morning when we review our reports and determine that we've received enough information to issue those temporary licenses. So we have added additional processes within our processes to try to improve and license as many individuals, as many RNs as possible every single day.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. The Lori, you mentioned the $100 fee that has been waived. Is that still waived right now?
It is in effect until June at this point. That was part of the waiver that came from DCA director that the board had asked. And so the typical process without a waiver is that a person would apply for license by endorsement into California and pay that fee. And if they chose to, they would then do a separate application for a temporary license, which is a $100 fee. With this waiver process that was put into place, they only pay for the endorsement application, and they do not even have to apply for that temporary license. Our licensing staff go in and give a separate I'm not sure what it's called, Christy, I'm sorry, a separate action or a modifier or something to that effect.
It's
and
a separate
create
transaction.
Thank you, a separate transaction, create the temporary license request, and that goes through without a fee. So they didn't even request the temporary license. That is something that through that waiver, we grant them if they are not able to be licensed. And then Christina's team changed the way that they process the endorsement applications, because the longest time frame that allowed for a delay was the fingerprint process. The fingerprint process, as you guys are aware, the live scan process is an in-state California process, and live scan can only be completed if you are physically located in California to complete the live scan. And so as these are all endorsement applications, they're all from out of state. So they have to do a fingerprint hard card. And when you go through the Department of Justice process, that can take up to about 3 months for the fingerprint hard card to go through and get verified and put through. So we typically get that done faster, but that is what it states on the DOJ website, that it can take up to 3 months. So we started polling, we as in the licensing team under Christina's direction, started polling reports in the morning, and each person that had fingerprints back, because that was the largest delay, got processed through on a daily basis.
That's great. Thank you. That's a lot of work.
And that concludes my report.
And I believe that concludes my section too.
Thank you, Christina.
You're welcome.
So Reza, do we have to open up this portion to the public since we're not voting? That it was, a report?
Yeah, it's worth doing it. Technically, even though we're not likely to get much comment, you never know. Plus the Open Meeting Act, the way the statute reads it, it kind of requires it for each agenda item.
Okay. BRN moderator, can we open it up for public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Miss Ewing would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Go ahead,
Hi,
Miss Ewing.
Hi, thank you. This is Lisa Ewing. I'm a nurse in the Central Valley here in California. I just want to thank you all for all your hard work. It's really so good to hear how California is doing, and hopefully that can go nationwide and empower our new and upcoming nurses. Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you, Miss Ewing. Board President Trujillo, there are no other public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please close the window and we'll move on to the next agenda item.
Well, that would be me. Item 9.0, report on the Enforcement Intervention Committee. My name's Imelda Ceja-Butkwitz. I'm the chairperson. And we will begin with 9.1, which is informational only. Enforcement intervention update. So I'm not sure who will be presenting, if it's Shannon or someone else.
Go ahead,
Lori,
Shannon.
Shannon is up and she will be presenting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. I could not unmute for a minute there. Good morning, everybody. I am Shannon Johnson, and I am the Deputy Chief of Enforcement. I will be doing the overview of the enforcement unit, starting with complaint intake. In March of 2020, we began tracking the COVID-19 related complaints. To date, we have received 259 complaints with COVID-related allegations. Also, we are currently recruiting qualified registered nurses with the professional and educational background to review our investigative case materials, prepare written opinions for us, and evaluate whether an RN deviated from the standards of nursing practice or is responsible for unprofessional conduct. And we are in critical need of expert consultants in the following areas of expertise: long-term care, skilled nursing facilities, geriatrics, labor and delivery, certified registered nurse anesthetists, OP or ambulatory clinic, acute rehabilitation, cosmetic, Botox, laser. And so if there's anyone who would be interested in applying to be an expert practice consultant, they can visit our website at rn.ca.gov and go to the enforcement tab for the application. You could also email us at expert.brn@dca.ca.gov. Investigations. We continue to work closely with the Division of Investigations, on streamlining our processes and developing written uniform practices between our divisions. DFI has just begun electronically transferring completed investigation reports to BRN, and this process is going to help reduce overall case processing timeframes. The BRN special investigators continue to work in the field as needed, abiding by all Center for Disease Control and the California Department of Public Health guidelines. The average number of cases per investigator has decreased over the last year. Last year in March of 2020, we were at 19. We were currently at 15 in March of 2021. Any questions so far?
I have one.
So do
Yes.
The question that I have has to do with the COVID complaints. What is that? That's new to me. What does that entail? Compromise.
Yeah, if they've mentioned maybe there was a care issue. Some complaints have been that maybe a nurse didn't want to care for them because they were or did have COVID. There's a few different reasons, but anytime they mention COVID, we track that just to see how many cases we're getting that are connected to COVID. Maybe nurses refusing to treat, or work on a floor that has COVID patients.
So if a nurse refuses to work on a floor that refuses COVID patients, how does that complaint come across to the board?
Well, it comes across in many ways. It could be online. They could enter it through our BRE system online. It could come in through a fax or an email, because we do have an enforcement email that we do receive complaints through as well.
Is it the employer or the nurse themselves, or a mixture of both?
It's a mixture. It could be the patient. It could be the employer. It could be the nurse. It's a mixture of all.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
So Shannon, follow up with that question. So you said 259 COVID related. How many complaints last year this time did we receive? Was there more? Was there less?
The complaints that were received last year about this time, I don't have it off the top of my head. Let me look down into my stats, because we do have stats down in the bottom of your materials.
Okay, that's fine. We'll get to that when you can
Okay.
reference to that when we get there. The other thing is the investigators. So how many are those numbers, do they go back to your chart as well?
The numbers for investigations?
For the investigations, yeah. So we continue the investigations. Was that 114? Does that refer back to your chart? I was just wondering how many were at the DOIs and how many were at the special investigators. They all refer back to your chart, correct?
Yes, in the bottom chart of your materials, there's statistics on all of that.
And so the number of your special investigators, how many staff do you have currently in that position?
There's over 20. Scarlett could probably speak to that better.
Okay, that's fine. I just was referring to the chart and I thought, well, it tells me the numbers, but I don't know, per monitor, how many each has, but it doesn't really say how many investigators you have. So it's like 20 times 15, whatever that number is.
I want to say there's roughly about 27 investigators, field investigators.
All right, I think Betty had a question.
Yes, I just want to go back to this COVID-19 related complaints. Shannon, I know you mentioned one was that the nurses didn't want to take care of the patients. Could you give another few examples of other complaints around the COVID-19?
Betty, I would have to pull that information and get back to you on that. I don't have it in front of me. Those were just some off the top of my head. Scarlett, when she, I believe she's on as well, she may be able to speak to that better, as she does triage with complaint intake, and may have some other examples.
Thank you.
And then, Imelda, to answer your questions, we have about 24 positions within the investigation unit, not including Scarlett. One of them is an OT and another one is an RA. So of those are special investigators. And then we do have 3 supervising investigators as well. So we do have an ample staff.
Yeah, thank you.
It looks to be that most of the positions, if not all, are full. I know there's some transition right now that's occurring, but we have good staff there.
Yeah, so when her chart says average number of investigators per investigators, I mean, I don't know if you want to put like a little parentheses 24 or whatever, because it doesn't really tell me. It says as of March that they had 15. So the total would be 15 times 24, right? That'd be the total.
It could be. So not everybody has the exact same assignment each time. We do have investigators located in Northern California, as well as Central California and Southern California. And each one of the complaints that come in, Scarlett triages them. They go to the supervisors as well, and then they're delineated out. And there's a lot of information that's taken into consideration when you go ahead and assign these cases to there, because a lot of times they have multiple nurses on one complaint. And so that is taken into consideration as well. So it's not that everybody gets 15. We have a maximum number that we try to keep under 30. But so it's not an easy math problem, just to kind of clarify.
Because I was trying to figure it out. It's like, well, we have 24 investigators and the average is 15. So there's about 360 cases that you had in March.
In the statistics below, I believe it gives the number of investigations that we currently have this quarter of this fiscal year compared to the same quarter of last fiscal year. And then below that, it also gives the statistics based on a complete fiscal year comparison for the last 3 fiscal years.
Yeah, but the charts above have it per month, you know, March
Right.
2019. So that I was just trying to figure out how the numbers all matched up, but they don't. Okay, let's move along.
And Milton, just so you know, those it was asked that we show the number or the average number per investigator or per analyst in the discipline unit, or to see what the impact was based on the COVID pandemic and how it's impacted our unit. So I can continue to report those numbers for the March or that month for those years, or I can take that out if you'd like for future reports.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I just wanted to know the average, how many investigators, you know.
Okay.
To figure out, you know, how many, you know, they're being overloaded. How many are they actually working up, you know, for that month? That's what I wanted to know. But you've already told me there's an average of like 24, so it could be, you know, each one had 15 in the month of March, an average. Okay, let's move along.
Okay. So for discipline, we continue to focus on the aging cases. As of March 22nd, only 15% of our pending cases have been at the AG's office for more than a year. All of our hearings through Office of Administrative Hearings continue to be held via an online platform until further notice. And as you can see, the average case per analyst has dropped from March of last year. We were at 98. We're currently at 69 for March of 2021. The probation unit has created a support queue system. It allows the unit to better track the progress of the support staff workload and progress on all support staff requests by the monitors in the unit while they're teleworking. The queue system has allowed support staff to work on tasks using a priority checklist. And the list is provided by management with expected timeframes for completion during our teleworking time. And in probation, unlike the other units, we still continue to maintain about the same amount of probationers per monitor. We were at 83 last year in March, and currently we're at 85 this year. For intervention, we continue to actively recruit for the Intervention Evaluation Committee members. Currently, we have 7 vacancies. 2 candidates are being recommended today in another agenda item for appointment. The current vacancies are 2 in the Bay Area, 1 for physician member, 1 for public member, 1 in Los Angeles for a physician member, 1 in Fresno for a physician member, 1 in Palm Springs for a physician member. We have Ontario for a public member, and then in Northern California for a physician member. And if anybody would like to apply for an IEC position, you can go to our website and go to the intervention tab for more information. For our statistical information, which is included in your packets, that's below, and it compares fiscal year 1920 quarter 3 to fiscal year 2021 quarter 3. As you can see, we're down in total complaints received by a little over 300 in that particular quarter. And when complaint intake is down, it affects the other units. Obviously, we won't have as many referrals to intervention. We won't have as many investigations being referred over or disciplinary cases going to the AG's office. So you can see in most of our categories, the numbers have dropped from last Q3 to this one in this current fiscal year. The bottom table is a fiscal year comparison as of April 23rd of our current fiscal year. You can see that the current number of cases older than a year at the AG's office. Back in 1819, we were at 265 cases, and currently we're down to 149. BRN investigations over a year has gone down to 7. The DFI has dropped half to 63. And then our overall complaints have dropped. As you can see, applications have decreased about 500, complaints received by quite a bit, about 1,400, a little over 1,400. And then arrests and convictions have more than 50% drop in those as well. Are there any questions?
Yeah, but it does make sense, you know, because as through this COVID, we are seeing less people admitted to the hospitals, or, you know, a lot of the surgeries were being put off. So I think it's a reflection of that. That's what I would like to think.
Well, with the quarantines and people staying, you know, the at home, staying at home, you're not out and about, you're not in restaurants, you're not in bars. We're getting less arrests and convictions because of that. And I do think that is what has impacted our numbers.
Concludes your report, correct?
That concludes my report, yes.
Okay, so let's open it up to public, our board members. If you have any other questions or comments regarding the report, now's the time to speak up.
This is Betty. I do have a question. Is there any kind of a conviction that would prevent somebody for applying to be a registered nurse?
We don't prevent them from applying at all for any conviction, but we do take every arrest conviction into consideration when reviewing the case when it comes into complaint intake. And then some of them we approve because based on AB 2138, depending on how old the conviction is, a lot of them get approved and don't move forward to disciplinary action. But that's when they're reviewed at that time. And but we don't not allow someone to apply based on an arrest conviction.
Or it's not punitive, remember, Betty. We try to work with them.
I didn't suggest that.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, we look at every applicant, you know, then it goes through a process, yeah.
I was just curious if there was
Yeah.
anything that prevented somebody from it. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so Mark, would you please open it to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I want to give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Seha-Bakowitz, there are no public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
I would, thank you. Okay, moving along to agenda item 9.1.1. This is informational only. This is regarding the DOI BRN pilot update. And Shannon, would that be you again or Scarlett?
That would be Scarlett.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, everybody. BRN continues to work with DFI on our case prioritization pilot project. As of April 23rd, we have had 167 cases submitted for BRN investigation that meet the new referral guidelines. To date, BRN investigators have completed 121, and there are 46 that are pending. You can see on the information that has been provided to you, the numbers in the charts below, so I won't reiterate that to you. Do you have any questions?
Well, it appears that the pilot program is going well. I mean, they've reduced the percentage of referrals that have gone over to them and the ones that we have kept. And the average closure dates is 197 days for the DOI. I mean, that's really good news. I will remind everybody, when I first started, Betty can attest to that. Some of these cases were going way beyond 2-3 years. And so we were really worried about, nurses still practicing, because they're still able to practice until we resolved, or there's a conviction, or, the cases are resolved. So, I mean, this is like really good news. I'm really pleased with the pilot project, and I could only see it getting better. So thank you, Scarlett. Board members, do you have any comments, any questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and open it to public comments.
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Seha Butkowitz, there are no public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Well, thank you so much, Mark. Okay, moving along to item 9.2. This item action does require an action. It's discussion of possible action regarding appointment of intervention evaluation committee members. And that would be Shannon.
Yes. So we do have one new appointment and then several reappointments. We have Michael Miraba, which is in IEC 3 Los Angeles. It's a new appointment, physician member. Sandra Johnson, a physician member in IEC 1 in Folsom. Elaine Ocampo, an RN member, IEC 4 in Santa Ana. Barbara Henson, RN member in IEC 5 Clovis. And Stephanie Trum, RN member, IEC 5 in Clovis. Karen Ippolito is an RN member, IEC 6 Palm Desert. Ashley Schenkel is an RN member, IEC 7 in San Jose. We have Karen Mitchell-Keels, RN member, IEC 10 in San Diego. Marshall Alameda, RN member, IEC 12 in Folsom. Patricia Butler, RN member, IEC 12 in Folsom. Gay Gibson, RN member, IEC 12 in Folsom. Ernestine Leverett, RN member, IEC 14 in Los Angeles. And all of these appointments, if voted on by the board, will have a term expiration of June 30, 2025.
Are there any board members' comments, questions regarding any of the new appointment or reappointments? Okay, I would like to make a motion to accept the appointments of the Intervention Evaluation Committee members mentioned.
I will second that.
Betty.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and there's no questions from the board or comments. I'm going to open it to the public, but before I do that, I want to thank these individuals for stepping up to the plate, for continue to be on this committee. It's really important. Mr. Muraba from Los Angeles, welcome, welcome, welcome. I encourage you to encourage your colleagues to please sign up and help us. And I'm doing a special shout out for Kern County. We need someone from Kern County, so please, you probably go on our webpage and submit an application if you are interested. So with that, please, Mark, open it to the public for comments, if any.
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in the request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Seha Bekowitz, there are no public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you. Okay, there's a motion. So we're going to go ahead and do roll call and a call for the vote. Let's see if I could. Dolores Trujillo.
Yes.
Betty Woods.
Betty, yes.
Jovita Dominguez.
Jovita Dominguez, yes.
Susan Naranjo.
Yes.
Imelda Seha Bekowitz. Yes, I believe I covered all the board members. Okay, the motion passes. That concludes the Enforcement Intervention Committee reports. Thank you, Scarlett and Shannon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next agenda item. Thank you, Imelda. Moving on to the next agenda item, 10.0. 10.1, discussion of bills of interest to the Board of Registered Nursing Board and possible action regarding adoption or modification of positions on bills introduced during the 2020 to 2021 legislative session. And I believe Gurpreet is going to start off the report. Gurpreet, are you on?
She's being elevated right now, Dolores. As she's elevated, I'll go ahead and kind of explain the different layout. I know we kind of talked about it prior to the meeting started when Imelda asked a question, but I want to make sure for those that were not on that we did the explanation. In the past, the setup was that we would bold the bills that we would discuss. However, as that was going through the ADA compliance check, it was noted that the bold was causing some difficulties. So the format has been changed to better serve the ADA compliance. And we now have a table in here that does have direct impact bills on the top. There is a blue banner on the second page, and it looks like the indirect bills label was removed. So that will get added back. I apologize for that. And so underneath that blue banner on the second page, that is our indirect affect bills. So that is a formatting change that was done for this specific committee. And if it is acceptable by the board, we will continue to move forward. Additionally, the change was that there is a page for each of the bills with a link on it that you guys can click on to go directly to the website that contains the information. However, there is a summary, board position, reason for the bill, legislative council digest information, and background provided by the author, as well as general impact to the board. That is a new section. This was developed by Gurpreet Kaur, who is presenting. And I just really want to thank her for that. And if this serves you, we'll continue to move forward with this process. If there are changes that you want to add or include, please let us know, as we're trying very, very hard as a team to make this process much more clear and robust.
I just
Thank
have
you,
a
Lori.
question, Lori. So just to be clear, in their meeting materials, page 264, starting with AB 214, anything below that is indirect. Is that correct?
That is correct, Susan.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then for reference, you can see that there is a committee position that went to the Ledge Committee last month. And it will be delineated on there whether or not it was a watch position, a support position, or opposed position. There are a few bills on there that say not presented, and that is because they did not make it on the agenda for the Ledge Committee, and we will present those today.
So Gurpreet, my understanding is that you're going to go over the bills initially that were presented and give a brief synopsis and the stand that we took. Is that correct?
Yeah, I guess so. Good afternoon, Chair Trujillo and board members. Yeah, so Chair Trujillo, I was planning to actually just provide a summary for the ones that were not covered in the legislative committee. Yeah, if that's what you would prefer, but if you would like for me to, go over information or any kind of a synopsis for the other ones that we do have positions on from the legislative committee, I can do that as well, as you like. If it's just for specific ones, we can just do that as well, as opposed to all of them.
Okay, so the bills that were covered in the last legislative meeting, in the last committee meeting.
Yeah, I can actually give you a brief background before we get into those, and then I can also point out the ones that we did not go over, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
All right.
Just to let people know, so and the public, the legislative committee met in April and had lengthy discussion on several of these bills and the bills that were presented. And we gave our positions on those bills. So I would like to thank the board. It was a difficult meeting in time, but we made it through. And any of the bills that are being presented today for the first time, I'm, willing to entertain discussion, questions, whatever you may have concerning those bills. All right. So Gurpreet, go ahead and start.
All right, absolutely. So we are continuing to track a good number of bills. There are 19 direct impact bills. These will be implemented by the BRN, and some of them do have a fiscal impact on the BRN. Bill analyses for all of these 19 bills are included in the board meeting materials. 13 of these, 13 of these do have positions, as we were just discussing, from the legislative committee meeting held on April 8th. And you can find these positions on pages 263 through 265 of the meeting materials. And the other 6 bills were added following the legislative committee meeting. Then there are also 24 indirect impact bills. 7 were added after the agenda and the materials were posted. These indirect impact bills fall under other agencies' jurisdiction, but also affect nursing. And some of them are higher education bills that stakeholders are watching. 7 of the indirect impact bills have positions from the legislative committee meeting, and it may just be preferred by the board here as a body to simply take a watch position on all of the other indirect impact bills, as opposed to maybe going over all of them if you do so prefer, because they are indirect impact, but they do have a component of nursing that they affect. So. And a quick note on the legislative calendar, a link to that is provided on page 262 in the agenda item summary, along with a link to the legislative process. And May 14th is the last day for policy committees to meet before June 7th. Some of the bills that are being tracked are still in the policy committees, but a lot of them have actually moved on to appropriations or the fiscal committees. And then May 21st is the last day for fiscal committees to meet before June 7th. And July 14th is the last day for policy committees to meet and report on any bills that are still remaining in the committees. Then the legislature will be on a summer recess from July 16th to August 16th. And then August 27th is the last day for fiscal committees to meet and report on bills. Following that, the bills will either move onto the floor for further consideration or be held in committee, and usually at that point they become inactive. So Chair Trujillo, if you can let me know if you'd like to make a motion for the board to just go ahead and accept the legislative committee meeting positions on all the direct and indirect impact bills.
Sure.
And then I can brief on the other remaining 6 ones.
Okay,
after that.
so I would like to put a motion out on the floor to accept the recommendations of the legislative committee, recommendations to the board from the legislative committee on the bills that were discussed at the previous meeting. Do I have a second?
This is Susan, I'll second.
All right. Any comments, questions from the board members? No? Okay, we can, board moderator, can we open it up for public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Saskia Kim would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Go ahead, Saskia.
Good morning. Thank you. Saskia Kim with California Nurses Association. I just wanted to make a couple brief comments on a few of the bills. I wanted to mention quickly on AB 1407 on implicit bias in nursing education. CNA is the sponsor of this bill. And I just want to quickly note that we have amendments that are going to be put into the bill that will do the following. We're going to make the implicit bias requirements a graduation requirement and not a license requirement, and make it clear that the bill doesn't require curriculum revision or affect license endorsement into California, and also delay implementation of the new licensee requirement to allow the board time to promulgate regulations. And I just want to thank Loretta Melby for her assistance in helping us make sure that the bill is implementable and that it works for the BRN. And I also want to note on AB 1422 on nurse-to-patient ratios, as currently in print, CNA is still in opposition. However, we've had several conversations with the sponsor, which look to be productive, so we're hopeful that our concerns will be addressed. We're also most concerned that the bill currently in print would have the unintended consequence of undermining California's numerical nurse-to-patient ratios by suggesting that the California Department of Public Health, CDPH, has authority which it doesn't have. Existing law contains very limited exceptions, allowing for program flexibility or waiver of numerical nurse-to-patient ratios. And as a result, AB 1422 is currently in print, inadvertently undermines important patient protections by providing CDPH authority where it doesn't currently exist. And then finally, AB 410, CNA urges the board to oppose this bill because it would relinquish control of California's authority to regulate the practice of nursing to the Interstate Commission, which is a multi-state quasi-governmental authority, and we believe the compact hurts the BRN's ability to enforce educational and licensing requirements for nurses in California and to uphold its statutory duty of consumer protection. And then finally, CNA is sponsoring the following bills and appreciates the board's support: AB 858, AB 1105, SB 213, and SB 637. Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. Catherine Hughes would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Go ahead, Catherine.
Hi, this is Catherine Hughes, Registered Nurse, Director of the Nurse Alliance of SEIU California. Regarding AB 1422, the program flexibility bill, we are waiting to receive language back from Ledge Council. We submitted amendments that would change the term from staff ratio program flexibility to bed designation program flexibility requests, and we are hoping that when that language comes back from Ledge Council, that other than the hospital association, we will not have any other opposition to this bill, and we look forward to working with the BRN and our allies. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. Committee Chair, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Committee Board President Trujillo, there are no other public requests for comment. Would you like me to?
Thank you. Yes, close.
This
Is
is Mel. Can I ask something? So we're going to vote on, this is a motion to accept what we already had voted on at the committee meeting.
Yes.
So all these bills that we're voting on today to accept, there has been no changes whatsoever. I know sometimes when we meet in committee, by the time it comes to this meeting, there's been changes or amendments, or there's been changes. So I'm assuming there's no changes to any of those that we need to be aware of, that we need to change a position.
Nothing substantive. Nothing substantive. Member Seha Butkowicz. So nothing which would really change the substance of or the bill really.
Okay, thank you for yeah, good to know.
Thanks, Imelda. So we'll take it to the board for a vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Imelda?
Imelda votes yes.
Betty Woods?
Woods, yes.
Susan Naranjo?
Susan, yes.
Jovita Dominguez?
Jovita votes yes.
Did I leave anybody out? I think we got everybody.
You've got everybody. Thank you. That's 5 members. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. So Capri, can you present now the bills that weren't presented in the last Ledge Committee meeting?
Yes, and also Chair Trujillo, if you do want to also take a motion on just adopting a watch position on all the indirect impact bills, because I think the motion that you just made also covered is going to keep the positions on that the Ledge Committee made on the indirect impact bills as well, correct?
Yes.
That motion did include that.
Yeah.
And so would you like to now make a
motion?
Okay, got it. And so now, if do you wish to take a watch position on all the indirect impact bills, the remaining ones?
The remaining ones that you're going to talk about today?
No. I'll just be talking about the direct impact bills, the 6 ones which were not presented at the Legislative Committee. But we do have a list. We have about 24 now indirect impact bills, 7 of which do have positions from the Ledge Committee. But do you just want to take a watch position on all the rest of the indirect impact bills? Because, or do you want to go over each one of them?
So the ones that we took a position on in the last Ledge meeting was covered in the motion. Whatever we talked about, the remaining indirect,
yeah,
There are a couple that I have concerns about. So I would like the ones that we did not take a position on in the last meeting. I would like to hear, the committee would like to hear about those bills, the synopsis.
All right, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Just for clarification, Dolores, there are 3 bills in the indirect impact that say no motion. And then there are 7 bills that were not presented. Are you wanting to take a motion and have the bills presented that have no motion? Or are you wanting to continue to have a no motion on those bills as well?
No,
Just
we
so that we're clear.
need to have some
A
type
motion.
of motion. Yeah.
Perfect. So it looks like there'll be 10 indirect bills that will be discussed going forward. Thank you.
And I mean, we actually have quite a few. I think seven of them did have positions from the Ledge Committee, but 3 or so had no motions on them. But we have a substantial number now, in addition to the 7 which were added recently. So, but if there are only certain ones that you'd like to discuss, we can do that, and you can just take a watch motion on all the rest of them.
I would like to hear them all because I don't want to do a watch. I mean, sometimes we totally oppose it, so I think we should listen. We should hear all of them. That's just my opinion. I don't want to put a watch on something that I totally oppose.
Yeah, I don't want to watch them either. We need to hear about them. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, absolutely. Sounds good. And so I can now, share with you the 6 direct impact bills that we had not discussed in the Ledge Committee. The first one is AB2. This is regulations, legislative review, regulatory reform. Vince Fong is the author, Assemblymember Vince Fong. So this bill requires revising regulations that are duplicative, overlapping, inconsistent, out of date, on or before January 1st, 2023, and report to the legislature and the governor. The fiscal impact for this would be hiring of 1 limited term regulatory analyst for 2 years in the classification of associate governmental program analyst. And the cost would be approximately between $123,000 to $135,000. And so nothing additional, just related to regulations and just revising anything duplicative, overlapping, inconsistent.
Before you go on, let me ask Reza a question. Reza, as she's talking about each bill, do we need to open up each bill for public comment?
It's all under, I think the way we have it agendized, one single agenda item.
Yeah.
So I think it's up to you if at some point, I think when we open it up to public comment, folks should be able to make a comment about any of the bills that are on the agenda, or really any bills they want. But I think you don't necessarily need to open each one to public comment. That might add quite a bit to how long this will take. Of course, members of the public should know that they can comment on anything that they want, anything listed on the agenda here or otherwise.
Right.
And if there is one that you think is particularly, important to kind of dwell on and maybe turn it over to public comment, you can do that on specific ones.
All right.
Like that. Sure.
Okay, Capri, you can move on.
Just
Dolores, would you like to make a motion on what you would want to do with AB2 so that we can have a motion recorded before you go to AB 107?
I would like to make a motion to watch. I think this could be a good bill, but we have to see there's going to be a fiscal impact. I think all boards need to be transparent, but I think we need to watch it for now. That would be my motion.
So it is currently in the committee on appropriations. It looks like it'll make it through. Nothing controversial in it. So it's most likely it should pass.
You don't think there's going to be any language or any amendments?
Nope, it doesn't look like it.
I don't know, I think I would.
I'm a little concerned about
Yeah.
the cost and the, seems like it's a lot of, I don't know that it really designates transparency.
Well,
Is there-
and again, I have my concerns as well, so I think at this point in time, I would like to just watch or take a no position.
Absolutely. So I can let you know what the reason for the bill is. The author believes that as state agencies promulgate more and more regulations every year to implement state policies, the legislature must have a role in ensuring extreme high cost regulations are reviewed before they go into effect in order to make sure proposed major regulations, in order to make sure that proposed major regulations are consistent with the intent of the legislature. So they're trying to eliminate a lot of duplicate regulations and that kind of thing.
So it sounds like it's moving. We can take a position of watch.
Okay.
That's my motion.
All right, I'll second it. Any questions, comments from the board? Other board members? Okay, BRN moderator, can we open it up for public comment?
Dolores, real quick, are you opening up for public comment or are we going on to AB 107 to take a motion, to hear and take motions?
Well, I thought with each one, especially if we have a motion on the floor, that we have to open up for public comment.
No, we can do a motion on each one of the bills and then at the very end, open up for public comment. We do not have to go out to public comment each time.
Correct.
If the intention is to vote on the motion, it would make sense to have the opportunity for public comment before the vote, just so if any public comments kind of influence how members feel about a particular issue, that can be reflected in the vote.
Reza, can we vote for all of them at the end? You know, we can go through all of those, take a position, and then open it to public comment, and then go back and vote on all of them together?
Yeah, that's fine, as long as you all kind of try to keep in mind what you initially discussed about it, so that later on, if we have to revisit it after public comment, it's still kind of fresh in mind. Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. So it could just say, you know, this is how the board took a motion, and read them all really fast, and then we can all vote as a whole, so we don't have to each and every one of them. That would be my suggestion.
Sure.
So we can go on to 107, bearing in mind that we have a motion to watch AB2.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, correct. We have a motion and a second to watch AB2. I will make sure that we document each one of the motions and the seconds for each bill that we discuss. And then at the very end, we'll read them off before we go to public comment and take a vote.
All right.
All right. Okay, so AB 107, that's licensure, veterans, and military spouses. This is by Rudy Salas. This bill will require the Board of Registered Nursing to issue a temporary license within 30 days of receiving the required documentation. If the results of a criminal background check do not show grounds for denial, it would provide that these temporary licenses shall expire 12 months after issuance. Currently, temporary licenses are issued for 6 months and can be renewed twice. It would also require, if necessary, to implement the bill's provisions, the board to submit to the DCA for approval draft regulations necessary to administer these provisions by June 15th, 2022. Fiscal impact on this is minor and absorbable, so nothing. So this would be part of a regular staff work.
So I would like to make a recommendation to watch this bill. I have a second.
All right. Okay, so we can.
Is there
we did not get a second.
Is there a reason why you want to watch this and not support? Dolores?
I mean, we can support it. It does directly impact the board. What do you think, Imelda?
I don't know. The push has always been that we need to do more for our veterans.
Oh, I very much agree. I just don't know everything that's involved with this. As far as I've looked at the bill, but I don't exactly know. Well, Gurpreet said it was a minimal impact, so we can support it.
I can second that.
Okay. It will, of course, require some changes which would change the current situation as is current practice within the BRN, which is 6 months for temporary licenses as opposed to 12 months. The cost involved is minimal, but the practices would change. I'm not sure what the reasoning behind present practices are. So that might be something you might want to consider as well.
Gurpreet, this is Lori. I do have a question. Is this specifically to the active duty members and veterans? Because our current practice for temporary license for military is 12 months. It is the non-military staff that is 6 months for temporary license.
Oh, okay. All right. So if it is, then that doesn't change anything. Then I
That's what I'm saying. So that's why I was going to watch.
Okay. Okay. So
Okay,
yes,
thank
Lori,
you.
you are correct. This is not for military personnel, veterans and military spouses, actually. So not active military. It's veterans and military spouses.
And that's our current practice as well. Our current process within the BRN is 12 months for military and their partners as well. And then for non-military, it is 6 months for temporary licensure.
Okay. All right. Then that would not change the current practice. I'm not sure why it does say that it should be 12 months now as from issuance as opposed to something which is already being
6
done.
months.
Well, yeah. So it's actually 6 months only for non-military, and it is 12 months for military.
It's probably, because we have these veterans that are nurses and their spouses are coming along with them. Sometimes they're very mobile. So I guess we just want to help them out a little bit more.
Yes, I believe that is the intent of the author.
So Lori, is this what the board is doing now? Is it a step above this bill or around the same? Because it sounds like it's about the same.
It's the same. So
Yeah.
we do military spouses, we do military, and we do allow for 12 months. The language, what it looks like when I pull up the bill, the previous language just said year. So for a period of at least 1 year, they've struck out the word year and added meeting the state requirements for a period of at least 1 year, or is able to receive an expedited license by endorsement with no additional requirements superseding those for a temporary license as described above. So that is the language that was then added. And so it just looks to me like it just makes it a little more clear. This bill also requires an annual report to the legislator containing specified information related to the professional licensure of veterans, service members, and their spouses. We have the ability to do that as well, and we do that. We also have a section on our website that is specifically dedicated to military personnel and their spouses on how they would expedite in with direct contact to people that are assigned specifically to assist them. It also says that existing law provides that these temporary licenses shall expire 12 months. The new part says the bill would instead provide that these temporary licenses shall expire 12 months after issuance. Identical. Then it says the existing law says upon issuance of an expedited license or upon denial of the application for expedited licensure by the board, whichever occurs first. What they've taken here, it says upon issuance of a standard license, that's the new language, upon issuance of a license by endorsement, or upon issuance of an expedited license, whichever occurs first. So they've added the words upon issuance of a standard license. So that to me looks like the only change. We are currently under just quick review in compliance with this, is something we already do. And so it would be easy, it would be okay for us to do that. There was an update down on section 2, 115.8, where there is some talk about the Department of Consumer Affairs, the Commission on Teacher Credentialing, the Department of Real Estate, State Department of Public Health shall compile information on military veteran spouse. That doesn't seem to necessarily affect us, but that was also additional language added into the bill. Hopefully that allowed for a little more clarification.
Thank you, Lori.
So exactly, this applies to all DCA boards and bureaus. So if this is something that the BRN is already doing, then will be no real change for the BRN then.
Yes, and that's why there would be minimal impact to fiscal currently being done.
So right now, we have a recommendation to support by Imelda.
I had a support position by you, Dolores, and second by Imelda. Is that correct? Thank you.
So I can modify.
It was the other, yeah.
It was the other way around, but.
It was the other way around.
Yeah.
I would have to amend my
yeah.
I would have to amend my motion. And if it fails, then you can make another motion. My motion is still to support, and you seconded, unless you want to withdraw yours.
No, I'm not going to withdraw my second.
So I think we can move on.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So exactly. So the next one is AB 885. That's Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act, teleconferencing. This is by Assemblymember Bill Quirk. This bill would make Bagley-Keene Act changes for teleconference meetings requiring audio and visual telecast. Among some of the other requirements and non-substantive changes, there is no fiscal impact expected here.
Isn't that what we're currently doing?
Gurpreet, is there additional changes to what we're already doing?
Yeah, so it's going to basically require audio and visual telecast. So if there is no visual telecast that might be happening, I believe we're already doing it. So yeah, I mean, there is visual telecast, and so it'll just require it, as opposed to have it as an option.
So
and this is for everybody, all state agencies.
That one I would like to put a motion to watch.
I'll second your motion. I agree. We'll see what the other boards decide.
Can I add to the discussion here? Right now, what we're doing with Bagley-Keene and our meetings are because of a waiver that was put into place. And Reza can probably speak to that a little more with that. And so what this bill does is allows for us to continue to meet in virtual locations, and that's why it was amended. This was something that is being worked on through DCA as well. And DCA has let us know that they are in support of these changes. Previously, it would state that a quorum of the members of the state body shall be in attendance at a primary physical meeting location. This allows a quorum of a member of the state body shall be in attendance via teleconference or in person physically. So it allows us to continue to move forward without the waiver in place and offer teleconference, very similar to what we're doing right now, meetings. And so this was a bill that has been sought after to allow the DCA boards and bureaus, as well as anybody other, the guidance of Bagley-Keene, to hold the meetings that we've been holding for the last year in a virtual way. Prior to that, we were not able to do that. So that is, DCA has put a position of support on that as well. And the boards and bureaus have supported that mostly as well.
Yeah, and this.
Go ahead.
So this actually, you know, in the past, when we've had to meet in person, you know, there's probably a board member that couldn't get to the location or wouldn't be there on time. Maybe, you know, this kind of would avoid that. So if we had it in person, if we decided to do that and we needed a quorum, that board member could actually, you know, conference in, and we would still have a quorum.
Yes.
So yeah,
this is an updated bill to allow for greater flexibility and do these virtual platforms where right now we are doing it on a temporary waiver. As soon as that waiver is ended, we would have to go back to all in person. So that is why this bill has been introduced, to allow for us to change that process and have a virtual component.
I would like to support this bill. I would like to make a motion to actually support this bill.
you had a previous motion. Did you want to
I'll
withdraw that?
withdraw my previous motion. I'll withdraw my previous motion and make a motion to support this bill.
I will second it.
Thank you.
Just for clarification, it looks like, if I'm reading it correctly, it, you know, assuming that the current emergency authority that we have goes away, if this bill were to pass, it would allow remote meetings like this, but you would still have to designate a primary physical location where members of the public can go. But you have to also make it available audibly and visually remotely. So you have to, board members don't necessarily have to be at the physical location. They can remotely connect, but a physical location needs to be provided. That, not a big deal, but I just want to make that distinction from what we're doing now, where we are not required to provide a physical location, but that's pursuant to the current emergency executive orders.
Thank you, Reza.
I assume that won't change anything.
So Reza, I'm not sure if my reading was, I didn't see that as a requirement to have a physical meeting, a physical location. It says a designated location. If you don't have one designated, it's not really requiring you to designate one. Is that was my reading? Is that not how you read
so
that?
what it looks like to me, sorry, someone else want to jump in? If not, I'll take it away. What actually happened, I think maybe last year or within a couple of years ago, there was a provision added to the Open Meeting Act. Originally, there was a section that allowed the board to conduct teleconference meetings, but it imposed certain requirements like, having at least a quorum of the board at the physical location and things like that. Within the last couple of years, there was a new section added, and that's 11.123.5, which gave kind of an alternate set of teleconference rules that were slightly more flexible, but it was introduced to only apply to advisory bodies. And that was a balance in order to kind of strike a balance between the public's right to access meetings and be present physically with board members versus, flexibility for advisory bodies. Anyways, the 11.123.5, that's government code section, is the one that I think is kind of the primary one that's modified here. And it just strikes the word advisory so that now those alternate teleconference provisions apply to non-advisory state bodies as well as advisory bodies. Under that 11.123.5, it requires a primary physical meeting location where members of the public may physically attend the meeting and participate. It used to say that a quorum of the state body shall be in attendance at the primary physical meeting location. Now it says they can be in attendance via teleconference.
Via teleconference.
So, yeah.
Or got it. I see that's section E under. Item E under that section. So okay, so that still applies. That is existing law that you have to designate a physical location. And in addition, that has been added, that attendance can be via teleconference or physical attendance in person.
Right. So it is, if we take away the emergency authority that we have now, then this bill is certainly still more flexible than what you otherwise would have. So it will potentially make things a little easier going forwards once we come out of the state of emergency. The bill may be amended. I know there's a lot of interest in the current flexibility that we have being available to us going forward. So, for a lot of reasons, benefit to the public and greater access, things like that. So,
And reading the bill, Reza, do you see a physical location can be designated as, and it doesn't have to be, I know that board meetings used to be in different parts of the state earlier, and would that still have to happen, or you can just make headquarters as the designated physical location?
Gurpreet, are you talking about the board members or ADA compliance?
And then I was talking about the physical location that would have to be designated as far as existing law. So earlier, I know that board meetings used to be in different parts of the state. So once things reopen and you can still teleconference, have meetings via teleconference, a physical location would not have to be, designated. It can be just the headquarters here at the BRN, correct? Reza, can that happen, or is that would be up to the board, right?
I think that would be up to what carries out. Right now in our specific NPA, it talks about holding a board meeting in the north and the south and alternating. That's in our specific NPA. This may affect that, but it may not. And we would work with it as it goes. But right now, what this bill specifically does is allow us some flexibility to have a virtual component. We can work out the rest with how it affects directly our NPA at a later date.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly that. There's also General Business and Professions Code Section 101.7, which requires meetings at least once in Northern California and once in Southern California each year. I don't think it's real crystal clear right now how that section and the one Lori mentioned kind of interacts with the new normal of having meetings virtually. Just having a meeting in Northern or Southern California, well, if it's virtually, it's not clear whether we're satisfying that or not. So anyways, I think that's something to be kind of looked at and sorted out. I don't think it's really answered by this bill or otherwise at this point.
Yeah.
But even if we meet that requirement, that's what, 3 meetings? We have some months we have ad hoc meetings that are added on, and we have the flexibility of either this format or doing it in person for those types of meetings. Especially if there's maybe a 2-week or 3-week notice, this type of meeting might be preferable. So this gives us.
We have a motion and a second. Did we want to go on and now speak on AB 1026, please?
Definitely.
Okay. All right. AB 1026, business licenses veterans. This is by Assemblymember Thurston Smith. This bill will require the BRN and other DCA boards to grant a 50% fee reduction for an initial license to an applicant who provides satisfactory evidence that the applicant has served as an active duty member of the United States Armed Forces and has been honorably discharged. So the fiscal impact on this was estimated to be $82,575 annually in total average loss of fees. So that's a 50% fee reduction for initial license to an applicant who was honorably discharged from the military.
So, Lori, do we offer anything right now that is comparable to this bill?
No, not at this time. We do not.
I would like to support our veterans for their service, what they've done, and I would like to support this bill. I think we owe them that much, if not more.
I was just asking because like the previous military bill, there was something that we're already doing in place. So
Yes, I understand that. Currently, we do not offer any kind of discounted license for our military personnel or veterans. So this would be a change, and that is why there is a fiscal impact. But yes, our board typically has supported veterans, and so that's open to discussion here.
I'll second the motion to support. I forgot who put it out there.
Imelda.
All right.
Right. Moving on.
Okay, absolutely. So 1273 is the next one.
I'm sorry, do we have a second on that motion?
Yeah, Susan seconded.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So Interagency Advisory Committee on Apprenticeship, the Director of Consumer Affairs and the State Public Health Officer. That's the title of AB 1273. Freddie Rodriguez is the author. This bill would add the Department of Public Health and Department of Consumer Affairs to IACA. That's the Interagency Advisory Committee on Apprenticeship, in an effort to increase communication amongst California's agencies regarding earn and learn opportunities. Additionally, it would prohibit the BRN and relevant state agencies from discouraging earn and learn opportunities. This bill reflects recommendations contained in the Department of Consumer Affairs report. There is no fiscal impact expected here.
I'll add some additional information to that right now. Currently, I am serving on the committees with CCCR, and that is our corrections, and they are looking at that. We do have a community college located in Riverside that participates in the LVN to RN apprenticeship that has been piloted. So the BRN is already active within this. And I know that Dolores, you've been asking kind of what are the comparisons to stuff that we're currently doing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give that information.
Now, is that a temporary committee that you're serving on? Or
It was established prior to me coming in, and Dr. Morris attended it. I began attending it, and it looks to me like it's continuing to move forward. I do not know of an end date on that. They're looking at the RN apprenticeship. They're looking at rad techs. They're also looking at dental hygienists. So they're looking at multiple things, but it's a very it's a nice committee to be a part of.
all right, so this is similar to that, correct?
Yes, it looks like it's an extension of that.
So I would like to make a motion to support.
This is Susan. I'll second.
Thank you, Susan.
All right, so we can go on to the next one, which is AB 1386. This is license fees, military partners and spouses. Jordan Cunningham, Assembly Member, is the author on this one. This bill would prohibit the BRN from charging an initial or application fee, or an initial license issuance fee to an applicant who holds a current similar license in another state and is a spouse of an active duty member of the armed forces that is stationed in California.
Dupree, I need to interrupt really quick. Ken Marlborough has joined the call. Can you elevate him up to a participant or a panelist, I'm sorry, Mark, so that he can join in and be part of this discussion?
Good morning, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ken.
Good morning, everyone.
All right, so I can actually restart. We were just talking about AB 1386. AB 1386. And so this bill would prohibit the BRN from charging an initial application fee or an initial license issuance fee to an applicant who holds a current similar license in another state and is the spouse of an active duty member of the armed forces that is stationed, who is stationed in California. It would also prohibit the board from charging an initial examination fee to such an applicant if the examination is administered by the board. The fiscal impact on this is an estimated $67,750 per year in average fees loss. The loss of initial examination fees is still under review, so there might be additional cost added to the $67,750 currently.
So we have two military bills. We are in support of 1026. Does this conflict with 1386? Is there a conflict?
No, I don't see a conflict here. I mean, this has to do with initial license issuance as well as any initial examination fees by the BRN, and so that is for temporary licenses only. So it, I mean.
I'm not sure that that's my understanding. One of them was to have a license. The one that we just covered, I'm sorry, was that the license fee would be reduced. And this one talks about prohibiting the board from charging a fee. And so I do think that there is a conflict. We supported the one that allows for it to be reduced. So we did vote to support the reduction in fee. This one prohibits the fee. And then the section that says the board shall not charge an applicant who meets the requirements in subdivision A an initial examination fee if the examination is administered by the board. We do not administer our examinations. That is done through NCLEX and administered through Pearson VUE. So we do not have the ability to change that fee or affect that fee. That is a separate entity. But this would be a no fee, where the bill that we just voted to support was a reduction in fee.
And so the earlier one, the 1026, only applies for temporary licenses. This would apply to any initial license by a military partner or spouse. And this is not for active military. This is not for somebody who was in the military and then was honorably discharged. This is just for military partners and spouses. So the other one was for veterans.
I would like to recommend a watch on this bill. Or put a motion out to watch, that the committee watches this bill, that the board watches this bill.
Again, I'm in support of helping my veterans. I know this is a fiscal impact, but I still support the veterans and want to do whatever we can to help them.
And we're not opposing it. We're just watching it.
So I can provide additional information here just really quick, just for discussing scope of practice within California. So any military personnel that comes into California that continues to work on a base or a federal hospital does not require licensure in California at all. And so they can come in on their other license and they can work in that federal agency without being licensed in California, and they do that on a regular basis. So there is no fee for them when they do come in, and there is no delay in them coming into California, and they are able to operate and provide nursing services in those federal institutions that they're typically part of, without delay, without fee, and they do this. The military personnel require a RN license issued from the state of California when they work in a civilian location, when they are not working in a federal institution. So if they're working with the VA, they do not require license in California. If they're working at a military hospital located on a base, such as Camp Pendleton or Balboa or whatever, they do not require military license. State of California license. They are able to work without any kind of fee attached to them. So this is addressing the personnel that would want to work in a civilian hospital or a civilian clinic out of the federal hospital. So just to provide some clarification on that. Thank you.
Right, and they're done with their military services and they're from California and want to reside in California. So yeah, I totally understand. Thank you.
So if I can just, address that correction, this is not for veterans. This bill is for spouses and partners. So this does not apply to active military or to veterans. It is for military spouses or partners.
Yes, and the delineation that I provided just right now that talks about working in a federal facility, federal facilities, all healthcare institutions that are under federal facility in the state of California, anybody can work there without a California license. They're under a separate jurisdiction and are under the federal laws and regulations and the federal scope of practice. It is only the healthcare facilities and hospitals that are not federally mandated or licensed that require a California license.
So again, my motion on the floor is to watch.
And I second.
Thank you.
Can I find out who the second was? Was that Jovita?
Jovita.
Yes, it was. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on.
All right, so that's all of the 6 bills that we did not discuss at the Legislative Committee, Chair Trujillo. So now we can go on to the indirect ones, or is there anything from the direct list that you'd like for me to go over?
No.
Dolores, I think it might be prudent to do a vote, rehash the vote on the direct bills right now, open that up to public comment, close that out, and then go into indirect.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so first of all, does the board have any comment on the bills that we discussed at the last meeting and took a position on?
We've already taken a vote on that. That's went out to public comment. So that would be reopening that. So we just need to go on the ones that were just presented today that were the not presented ones on our list.
Okay. So BRN moderator, can you open it up for public comment, please?
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in the request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Saskia Kim would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Go ahead, Ms. Kim.
Thank you. Saskia Kim with the California Nurses Association. On this list of bills, I just wanted to quickly mention our comments on AB2. That's the Fong bill. CNA is opposed to AB2, which starts with the underlying assumption that regulations are bad. We disagree, and the bill actually is controversial. We believe regulations are protections which safeguard the health and safety of workers, families, and communities in California. And Californians depend on these protections to ensure they have safe workplaces, are paid and treated fairly, and have access to clean air and water. And existing law also already allows any person to petition a state agency to request the adoption, amendment, or repeal of a regulation. And that includes any regulation that the petitioner believes is duplicative, overlapping, inconsistent, or out of date. So most importantly for the board's purposes, AB2 would divert scarce public resources away from protecting the public towards a duplicative bureaucratic process. So as a result, CNA requests that you oppose AB2. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. Board President Trujillo, there are no other public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Dolores, you're muted.
Oh, wait a minute. Somebody snuck in. Hold on here. Miss Ewing would like to make a comment. 1 second. Go ahead, Miss Ewing.
Sorry about that. I thought my comment was sent. You know, I was wondering, where can I find the bills that are being reviewed? I can see issues on the internet, on the website for the BRN, but I can't see what bills are being reviewed, and how can I get a copy of those bills so I can review them?
The meeting materials for today's meeting contain a chart. So if you go to the BRN website and then go to meetings and then go to today's meeting, there should be the agenda and the actual meeting materials. On page 263 of the PDF of the meeting materials, there's a list of all the bills, and each of those contains a hyperlink to the state website where the bill text and other information is contained.
Okay, I'll check that out again. Thank you. Thanks for your
Okay,
time.
also the agenda itself contains hyperlinks to these bills.
Okay, thank you.
Additionally, when you get to page 266, there are bill summaries and links on that as well.
Okay, thank you. I'll take a closer look at that.
Good. Sorry. Thank you, Miss Ewing. Board President Trujillo, there are no other public requests for comments.
Thank you, Mark.
Can we close it
Yes,
now?
Linda. Okay, Capri, do you want to continue with the bills that were not presented?
Sure. And
I
so-
think, Madam Chair, I think we can vote on these as a board since we opened it for public comment. So we can vote on these.
Yeah, we need to
direct-
take a vote on the direct impact bills. Thank you.
Good enough.
Currently, the motion on AB2 is a watch. AB 107 is a support. AB 885 is a support. AB 1026 is a support. AB 1273 is a support. And AB 1386 is a watch.
We'll be voting on each one of these separately, no?
I thought we agreed to vote on them all together.
Well, if we have different opinions about each one, how can we vote on it all together?
We already did during the comments, board comments.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was Reza. Yeah, I think we talked about doing one motion to do all of them. Of course, if you do have different opinions, we can still vote one by one and try to get through the votes quickly. If you want to, have the record reflect a different vote. We discussed each one and kind of came up with a collective proposed position, but you still you should still have the opportunity if you'd like to vote against taking that position. So
Well, my
I
understanding
think
was that, each one of these, we've taken a different opinion on whether to support it or to watch it. We haven't voted. How can we vote and say, I'm missing something perhaps, but
well, what I think we
say
had
I have a problem with one of them and I don't want to take that opinion.
Yeah, that's fair. What we had contemplated doing for kind of expediency was just to have one motion. And it may have been a bad idea because we may have assumed that everybody would be on the same page. We had contemplated doing one motion to adopt all of the positions that were just discussed as you were going through the bills one by one. But
Maybe Betty can pull that one that she wants to have further discussion on.
I don't know that I need further discussion on it. I've made my decision about what I want to do about it, but it may not be supportive or watching it,
So-
like it says here.
So are there any of them that we had a position that you disagree with us?
Yeah, there are a couple of them.
Okay, well, we could pull those. I mean, if you want to have
Yeah,
further
we could pull
discussion.
those.
I'm just talking about myself. Other people may feel the same way. I just can speak for myself.
So Betty, what are the two bills or the bills that you would like to discuss?
Well, I don't know. I don't want to discuss them. That's what I'm saying. I don't need to discuss them. I've heard the
So
discussion.
you would like to vote on each one, is what you're asking?
Well, I'm not comfortable
Independently.
voting yay or nay on all of them because I don't feel that way on all of them.
Sure. So you're saying that with each bill that was presented just now, that you would like to do a vote so that you can vote whether
Oh,
to
me,
accept it.
anybody vote either
Well,
way.
anybody, exactly.
Yeah. Mhm.
It doesn't, I mean, it doesn't have to
Could do
take that long to go through each one. It
Yeah, we
can
can
be
go
a pretty
through
quick process. We've already done public comment.
Right.
So,
Need to know more about them.
yeah, I think Betty's point is fair, and we frankly just ought to have considered that when we set about this process. So,
Sorry, should have brought it up.
oh, no,
We can do that. So the position for AB2 is watch. There's a first from Imelda and a second from Dolores. We can open that up to vote, Board President.
All right. So Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Betty Woods? Betty?
Sorry, no.
No. Okay. Imelda?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Jovita?
Jovita says yes.
Ken wasn't present for the discussion.
I'll abstain. I'll abstain from
Okay.
But he could have read the bills himself.
abstaining
I
from
mean,
all
I'm
of.
sure he's familiar with the bills.
Information on.
No, it's okay. I'll abstain.
Okay. So we have.
I'm good with
majority.
just abstaining.
We have a majority, correct? Did I miss anyone?
Yes. AB2 passed, and we can go now on to AB107. The position was a support. Imelda was the one that made the motion, and Dolores seconded, I believe.
Yes. So for the vote, Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Imelda?
Imelda, yes.
Betty?
Woods, yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Jovita?
Yes.
And Ken
I'm abstaining.
abstaining. Okay.
AB 885 was a position of support. The motion was brought forth by Dolores, and Imelda seconded.
So we'll go ahead and call for the vote. Dolores votes yes. Imelda?
Imelda, yes. Yes.
Woods, yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Jovita?
Jovita says yes.
And Ken.
Abstain.
All right.
Thank you. AB 1026, the position, the motion for the position was support. That was brought forth by Dolores. The second was Susan.
So we'll call for the vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Imelda?
Yes.
Betty?
Woods, yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Jovita?
Jovita's yes.
Ken?
Abstain.
Okay, the next bill is AB 1273. Dolores brought the motion of support, and Susan seconded.
So we'll call for the vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Imelda?
Yes.
Betty?
Woods, yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Jovita?
Yes.
And Ken?
Abstain.
And the final direct impact bill is AB 1386. Dolores brought the motion of a watch and Jovita seconded.
So we'll bring it to a vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Susan?
Yes.
Jovita?
Yes.
Betty?
Woods, no.
Imelda?
No.
Ken?
Abstain.
So we have majority, correct?
Yes, it was a 3-2 vote with 1 abstain. So we can go on to the indirect impact bills. Gurpreet?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so for the indirect impact bills, we've got, now we've added a few to the list. So in the interest of time, I can provide you the subject for the bills. And if you'd like for me to get into that further and provide additional information summaries or as you like, I can do that as well. So
Dolores,
so the
would you
first
like
one,
to start with the bills that were not presented?
Yes.
And then go to the bills that we have no motion on and see if we want to revisit those.
Yes.
The first bill that was not presented was AB 815.
Right. So so this one is school nurses credentialing. This is by Luz Rivas. The bill would authorize the Commission on Teacher Credentialing to approve a program offered by a local educational agency for 1 year of coursework beyond the baccalaureate degree. So that is the gist of this. And then if there's anything additional for that you'd like for me to provide you, this is in the suspense file. It's in the Appropriations Committee in the suspense file. So nothing happening with this.
I would like to make a recommendation and a motion to watch. Do I have a second?
I need a little bit more information.
Yep.
I can provide some more information for
Yeah.
that, Imelda. So the current bill says the periods for which a service is credentialed with a specialization in health for a school nurse is valid shall be as follows. And it talks about the various ways that they can do that. They added a subsection E that says for the purposes of the requirements in paragraphs 3 of subdivision A, the commission may approve a program offered by a local education agency for 1 year of coursework beyond the baccalaureate degree. The commission shall apply the standards for approval of a program of a professional preparation offered by a post-secondary education institution to a program of professional preparation offered by the local educational agencies. What needs to be kind of some background information on this is that currently the school nurse is required to be an RN. The school nurse is also required to have a bachelor's degree in nursing. A school nurse cannot be an RN with a degree less than that. And then the school nurse also requires coursework beyond the baccalaureate degree in nursing and to be approved through the Teacher Credentialing Commission in order to do that. There was also other areas that could go on there for public health nursing and such. And in fact, one of our nursing education consultants, Dr. Marianne McCarthy, was a school nurse and a public health nurse. And so she would have much greater information if you would like to call her up and kind of speak more on this topic if you want to. But this allows for additional opportunities for that 1 year of training that occurs after the BSN for the school nurse.
Sounds good to me. But no, I'm good with the information you provided.
Thank you.
I have some questions about it.
Yes, would you like me to try to answer them, or would you like to see if Marianne McCarthy is on the line and could be elevated up to answer questions as a person that was a school nurse?
I don't care who answers the question. I'll propose the question, and then whoever needs to answer it can answer it. With the school nurses, says they need a baccalaureate degree. What if the nurse has a master's degree, or what if they're an advanced practice nurse?
I don't think
That is acceptable. The BSN was already previous law. So it is a minimum of a BSN. That is a minimum requirement. That's not being amended by this bill. That is already in California law, and that is already a requirement. Advanced degrees past the BSN is also an option for school nurses as well. It does not prohibit that.
Okay,
And
but-
that is current law, not affected by this bill.
But they still would be required to do this advanced study. Is that correct?
The specific coursework for the credentialing for the school nurse is a requirement, no matter what degree that you have after you've met the minimum degree. Very similar to teachers, some of those, you'll have a person that has a degree in chemistry, but then they will need to go and seek an additional teaching credential so that they can then provide that information. So this is we already have a degree in nursing, so you would go and seek this additional information, very much like a teaching credential that would then allow you to work in that area.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we
there's a
have
motion
a first
to
and a
watch.
second.
Is there a
To
first and a
watch,
second?
yes. There is.
I did not catch the first and the second. Dolores, can you?
I was the
Give me that
first,
information.
and the second was Jovita.
And that was a watch position, correct?
Watch position.
Thank you. So the next bill that was not presented is
864, AB 864.
Look,
That's
Laura,
for
this
substance.
is Ken Marlborough. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
Looks like I came in late on the last round, but it seems like you had agreed that we're going to vote on everything, and then there was some confusion, so you ended up voting separately. And I'm just wondering if we should just make a motion so that there's no more confusion to vote on these as a group. That way it's a done deal, or we vote separately so we don't have to go through the issues that we had in the last round. I hope I'm making sense here.
You are making sense. That is completely up to the board on how they wish to proceed with that. And then if there's anything that Reza needs to chime in to discuss, to provide any legal clarification, we can open them up to him too. So whatever you guys decide, just let us know.
Reza, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought Betty had made a good point that you all may want to vote differently from whatever position that the group discusses and kind of agrees on as a consensus. So I would just suggest doing it similarly to the last group of bills.
So we just had a bill that we did a first and a second. So we would open it up to board comment and then public comment with each bill, correct?
So what was done previous was we took a motion and a second on each one, gathered those up at the end, did public comment, and then took a vote on each one of the bills. If that's something that you guys wish to do, we can. If you want to do a motion followed by a second, public comment on each one, and then a vote on each one, that is absolutely something that we can do.
Yeah, the only difference is whether you do public comment on each one. Last time we didn't, and it seemed to work okay. I heard somebody like
I vote for the first option. We can do the same and take each vote individually. But,
Okay, so currently we have a motion on AB 815 and a second. We can then go on to AB 864, do a motion and a second. We'll collect those at the end. I will read off what the motions in the second are before we go to a vote, after we go to public comment.
Thank you, Lori.
You're welcome. Thank you. Gurpreet, I believe Ken interrupted you, but this is very important to establish. So go ahead and do that. And thank you, Ken, for bringing that up to our attention. I know that you missed the first part, and it was quite confusing even for me. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. All right. So should we? We're moving on to AB 864.
Correct.
That is controlled substances cures database, and so this law would really be it's repealing the provisions pertaining to the cures database. So that's the gist of this one.
Can you
And
explain?
those provisions?
I'm sorry. I was just wondering if you can explain to the board what the cures database collects.
Yeah. So and the provisions would be repealed by January 1st, 2023. So existing law classifies certain controlled substances into schedules 1 through 5 inclusively, and it requires the Department of Justice to maintain the Controlled Substance Utilization Review and Evaluation System, which is the CURES database, for electronic monitoring of the prescribing and dispensing of Schedule 2, Schedule 3, and Schedule 4 controlled substances by a healthcare practitioner authorized to prescribe, order, administer, furnish, or dispense a Schedule 2, 3, 4 controlled substance. And it also existing law requires a dispensing pharmacy, clinic, or other dispenser to report specified information to the Department of Justice for inclusion in the database. So now this bill would be repealing these provisions as of January 1st, 2023.
Any other board comments or questions?
Repealing them and replacing them by what?
So I don't see a replacement mentioned here. It's just a repeal at the moment.
One of the first amendments was to transfer the maintenance and operation of cures from the Department of Justice to the State Department of Public Health. That was amended and removed, and now it is just to repeal.
To repeal the cures entirely? That's it?
Yes.
I mean, I don't quite understand it then. Anybody can write for anything?
No,
No,
I don't think that's it. I think they're tracking the prescriptions that are written between is it Schedule 2 through Schedule 5?
Well,
yeah.
They're going to continue to track them? Or not?
Until 2023.
Yeah, they would continue tracking them until 2023, for which if this bill passes, it will be repealed.
It says that the intent is to transfer maintenance and operation of cures from DOJ to State Department of Public Health by January 1, 2023. So it repeals, like this statute is repealed as of January 1, 2023. I haven't looked at the full, history of this bill, but I would assume that maybe there's some intent to replace it with some legislation that's under CDPH's authority that allows them to continue operating the database, because again, it may be dangerous to assume that, but that's based on the fact that it says the intent of this bill is to transfer maintenance and operation of cures to CDPH by.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So I think it's repealing these provisions as related to the DOJ, and then it's transferring operations of the database to CDPH.
Yeah.
After.
Yeah. I would like to make a motion to watch this. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Betty. Can we move on?
Yeah, absolutely. So the next one is AB 1083. This is Senior Affordable Housing Nursing Pilot Program. This bill would require the California Department of Aging to establish and administer the Housing Plus Services nursing pilot program in the counties of Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, Sacramento, and Sonoma. The program would grant funds to qualified nonprofit organizations that specialize in resident services for the purposes of hiring one full-time registered nurse to work at 3 senior citizen housing developments in each county to provide health education, navigation, coaching, and care to residents. The bill would require the department to submit a report to specified legislative committees and state agencies on or before January 1st, 2026, and would repeal the program as of January 1st, 2027.
Any questions?
Well, there seems to be a lot to this bill, and I'm sure it's going to change as we go along, so I'd like to watch it.
I will second that.
Can I just chime in on this?
Yes.
I know a little bit. This is usually when you have affordable housing and it's very low affordable housing, if there's a requirement to provide certain services for the tenants of that building. And looks to me like what they're doing is one service is adding health, because a lot of times it's social services, different things. And so this looks like something that they're adding to it to help these folks as far as the health disparities that they may have. I hope that makes sense to y'all.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah.
No fiscal impact to the board?
No, it's
We did not, this is not applicable to the board, as Member Seha Buckwick. This is for the Department of Aging, so no fiscal impact on the BRN for this.
So we have a first and a second to watch this. Seeing that there's no other questions or comments, we can move on.
Okay. All right. So the next one is AB 1120. This one is related to clinical laboratories of blood withdrawal. And this bill would authorize a certified phlebotomy technician to collect blood by means other than venipuncture or skin puncture under specified conditions, including that the blood collection is performed under the general supervision of a physician and surgeon, and the blood collection is performed using a device or devices approved by the FDA. And so this was the author is Assembly Member Jackie Irwin is the author on this one.
This one, to provide some additional clarification on that, this is blood withdrawal
Yes,
that would typically be done by an RN.
RN.
And now it is opening it up to a certified phlebotomy tech. So just to provide that clarification.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to oppose. This is encroachment.
Jovita seconds that.
Okay, we have a first and a second.
Okay, all right. So unless you have further discussion, we can move on to the next one. Okay, and so the next one is AB 1477. This one is maternal mental health. And this bill would specify that the category of licensed healthcare practitioner to whom this requirement applies includes those who provide care during the interpregnancy interval as defined. And so basically this would, it applies to nurse practitioners, nurse midwives, and basically existing law imposes certain fines and other penalties for and authorizes DCA boards to take disciplinary action against licensees for violation of the provisions governing the professionals under those boards. And existing law requires a licensed health practitioner who provides prenatal or postpartum care for a patient to offer to screen or appropriately screen a mother for maternal mental health conditions. And so this bill would specify that that category of licensed healthcare practitioner, includes that what they're doing includes the interpregnancy interval as defined. And I believe this was amended also, and I'll make sure I've got everything on here.
I was going to say, I think there was another bill similar to this already.
Well, there was one, I don't think it was mental health, but there was another maternal bill, maternal care and services that we were in support.
You're right. That's SB 65 by Nancy Skinner. Yeah.
So does this bill support the midwives and nurse practitioners with regard to maternal mental health?
It is putting additional, it's basically
screening, right? It's offering mental health screening.
It is and it is making sure that, nurse practitioners and midwives who are providing this care as the health practitioner to the mother, they are responsible for these things and make sure that they provide these services, mental health services during the interpregnancy interval as specified.
Is it only for licensed individuals?
It is for licensed individuals, and they specifically talk about who the healthcare practitioner is. And that says healthcare practitioner means a physician and surgeon, a naturopathic doctor, a nurse practitioner, a physician assistant, a nurse midwife, or a midwife licensed pursuant to Division 2, commencing with Section 500 of the BPC Code, or an initiative act referred to in that division and who is acting within the scope of their practice. They then further go to delineate what the interpregnancy interval means, and that is the time that the woman is not pregnant between one live birth or pregnancy loss and the next pregnancy, regardless of the outcome of the pregnancy. This is a screening requirement. It opens it up to be much more than the previous bill was, that it says the mother shall be offered screening or appropriately screened pursuant to the subdivision at least once during the pregnancy and at least once postpartum to maximize resources and ensure access. So this is an improvement to the bill to increase the screening and increase the care.
That's correct.
Yeah, so I would like to put a motion out to support this.
Jovita seconds it.
Thank you, Jovita. Okay.
All right. So the next one is AB 1494. This is author is Vince Fong, and this one is pertaining to blood banks collection. This bill would authorize blood collection at a blood bank when the employee placed in charge, in the absence of a licensed physician and surgeon, is a registered nurse licensed in California. For purposes of a mobile unit as defined, the bill would require the registered nurse placed in charge to be physically present on the premises unless certain conditions are met. These conditions would include: 1, the registered nurse being immediately available by teleconference, defined as being connected by electronic means through video. 2, the mobile unit collecting blood only in a location with a connection to the internet that can reliably support the use of teleconference. And 3, if blood is collected by a blood donor phlebotomist, the phlebotomist having an active donor phlebotomy technician certificate as specified. And it would also require the blood bank to annually report to the department all donor adverse events that occur pursuant to the provision above, including certain information. It would also require the department no later than January 1st, 2026 to report to the appropriate policy committees of the legislature the number and types of donor adverse events reported as specified, and would make provisions related to mobile units, including reporting requirements inoperative by January 1st, 2027.
So Mike, go ahead.
The big change that is being discussed here that I've heard kind of talk about was that it increases access to blood bank and blood bank donation. However, by increasing that access to blood bank and blood bank donation, it removes the fact that the RN is the one that would do the blood collection. This allows for a phlebotomist to do the blood collection with an RN to provide a kind of a teleconference oversight. The RN is not the one who would be collecting the blood as previously required in law.
So I just want to put out there the concern with this is, my concern with this is that nurses are remotely monitoring a mobile unit with phlebotomists pulling the blood. I have done plasmapheresis and blood donation, and we had patients that had reactions all the time that required, I mean, when they have a reaction, they require immediate care. And I'm concerned that there's a remote access with an RN and not on the premises or in the mobile unit. I'm concerned about connectivity of the mobile unit to that nurse. I can see that as being a problem.
I agree.
Yeah, this is not safe. So I would like to make a motion to oppose.
Pavita,
Okay, thank you. We can go on to the next one.
Right. AB 1585 is the next one. This one is by the Committee on Health. This would revise the required qualification for the infection preventionist to require, and which is an IP, to require an IP to have primary professional training as a licensed nurse, medical technologist, microbiologist, epidemiologist, public health professional, or other healthcare related field. The bill would also require the IP to be qualified by education, training, clinical, or healthcare experience or certification to have completed specialized training in infection prevention and control. By expanding existing requirements, the bill would expand an existing crime, thereby imposing a state-mandated local program. The bill would also extend the date by which the Department of Healthcare Services is required to adopt those regulations to January 1st, 2022.
Who's the author? Is the Committee on
don't have
Health?
an author yet. It's the Committee on Health is the author, but they most likely will amend that soon enough with the name of a legislator.
Yeah.
Well, working at public health, I would be in support of this.
So this one did pass in the Assembly and is in the Senate at the moment. So it seems to be moving along and most likely will pass, it seems.
Yeah, I'm in favor also. So I would like, did you put a motion on the floor, Imelda?
I will make that motion. Thank you.
I will second.
I need a little more information about it, please.
All right. So the purpose of the bill, according to the Health Committee, is this bill is intended to clarify language from AB 2644. The authors note that the current definition of an IP only applies to those working in SNFs, and I'm not sure what that is, unless you have an idea. SNF.
Yeah, that's a skilled nursing facility. That's the thing for that. So previously, this was a law that was in effect that required the license and regulation of healthcare facilities, including the skilled nursing facilities, to be by the State Department of Public Health. And they were given a due date for that. This just extends the due date and allows them to adopt regulations versus the previous due date was July 1, 2020. And so this just extends that due date to January 1, 2022. All of the other provisions of the bill remain as what was passed in law. It's just allowing CDPH longer time to promulgate regulation because as you can imagine, during the COVID pandemic this last year that affected CDPH, I'm sure they were pulled in other ways. And so it is an extension from them being due to have all of this regulation and everything done by July 1 this year to extending that to January 1, 2022.
Thank you. Thank you.
So there was a motion on the floor by Imelda to support with me as a second. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, we can move on.
All right, so
Dolores, that actually covers all of the bills that were not presented. So do you want to move to the ones that the board previously had no motion on?
Yes.
Because they were not presented last. So that would bring us up to AB 214.
Yes, and I believe there's 3 bills, correct?
There's AB 214, AB 285, and SB 112.
Okay.
all right, and I do want to say that AB 214, you can leave it. You don't need a motion on that one. That's just a budget bill. You know, I mean, there's really there's not much going on there related to nursing or anything else. It's just a diversion of funds from the registered nursing fund to, I believe it's to OSHPAD. So if you would like to skip that one, that's totally up to you, or just watch.
Watch. I would like
When
to.
you say, wait, I'm sorry, when you say OSHPAD, is that
OSHPAD.
like the fund that goes, does it go,
That
does
is
that
the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development.
Okay, so take no position on this one? I mean,
I'm sorry.
we could take a no position since you said that it doesn't really affect us indirectly or.
Yeah,
directly.
not really. It's just to know about it, really.
So we take no position. That would be my motion.
Actually, I will second that. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, and then we had AB 285, which is the school health nurse, State Department of Education State School Nurse Consultant, and this one didn't have a motion on it, and it's pertaining to school nurses in CDE, California Department of Education, as credentialed by the CTC, the Commission on Teacher Credentialing, and so this was earlier was required for the school nurse to be an RN, and now it just has to be credentialed by the CTC.
Yes, I see Betty's face. So Betty, yes, this is a bill that removes the requirement that a school nurse must be a registered nurse that is at least baccalaureate prepared. This could just be
An LVN?
health aide, an LVN, anybody that goes and takes that additional credentialing course, but that is not an RN. So the board would.
I would oppose.
Yeah, I second that.
And it's actually not a school nurse. And I did want to point out that this is not a school nurse, it's a nurse consultant. So it's, I'm not sure if they're actually doing duties of a nurse. Lori, you might know more about that.
Actually, yeah, this is the bill that would require the state school nurse consultant to be a registered nurse. So at the state level, it would remove the RN requirement.
So and they're actually working with CDE, with the California Department of Education. I'm not sure if they're not working directly with patients or anything, with students.
Well, that's correct, but that's similar to what we have at our board, right? Where our nursing education consultants are RNs and they are required to be an RN. So even though they're at the state level and they're not doing direct patient care as part of their job within the California Board of Registered Nursing, they're still required to be in our.
Yeah.
So I want to withdraw my motion, actually. Sorry, I'm going to withdraw it.
How can they be calling themselves a nurse if they're not an RN or an LVN?
That is correct. That's a good question. So what the bill states, so previously the bill read, the bill would require the department to appoint a state school nurse consultant to be housed within the department. The bill would require the state school nurse consultant to be a registered nurse with a minimum of 5 years of management experience. Now the bill says the bill would require the state school nurse consultant to be a school nurse credentialed by the commission as specified, who has a minimum of 5 years experience in school health program management. So that is the change. They removed the registered nurse requirement with the 5 years of management experience, changed it to a school nurse credentialed by the commission as specified, who has a minimum of 5 years of experience in the school health program management.
I would like to make a motion to oppose this. Would I have a second?
I have a second, Kavita.
Thank you. All right, I believe there's one more bill.
The last bill, yes.
Okay. All right. So the last one is sorry. We do have yeah. We do have 7 additional ones which were added after. Would you like to know what those are? They're
Capri, were they on the agenda? If they're not on the agenda, they cannot be discussed.
Okay, yeah, they were not on the agenda.
They're not on the agenda.
So we cannot discuss those. Yeah.
Legislative committee then.
Yep. So the next bill is the one that was no motion on SB 112, Skinner Budget Act of 2021.
Oh, that is similar to the other one and can be a no position bill. It's just a budget bill, and it just will be taking funds out and moving them to OSHPD. Exactly same to AB 214. Yeah.
I make a motion to take no position.
I second it.
Thank you. So real quick, before I go over the positions, I did miss one. On AB 864, I have that Dolores made the motion and that Betty seconded, but I did miss what that was.
A position to watch. It was the jurors. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And so what we'll do is we can open it up to public comment now. Once we come back from public comment, I will state the motion and who first and seconded on each one, and we can go to a vote.
Board moderator, can we open it up for public comment, please?
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you, nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Saskia Kim would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Go ahead, Ms. Kim.
Thank you. Saskia Kim with the California Nurses Association. Just wanted to mention a few brief comments on several of the bills. The first is AB 1494, the Fong bill on blood banks. CNA opposes this bill because nurses are very concerned that patient safety will be put at risk by deleting the requirement that blood banks have an RN physically present and instead allow the RNs to supervise the process via teleconference. We're concerned because teleconference services are frequently unreliable, and audio and video teleconferencing services often drop calls or cause delays that could prove extremely harmful to donors, especially when having a reaction that necessitates the supervising RN's involvement. CDPH recently denied a petition to consider rulemaking that was virtually identical to this. The petition was granted because of industry pressure. The original notice denying the blood bank's petition stated that allowing nurses to supervise via teleconference raises, quote, potential issues relating to the nursing scope of practice and supervision, end quote. Moreover, blood banks could perform other procedures that involve a potential for greater risk, such as a process where a particular blood component is obtained from a donor and separated out for collection, and then the remaining blood is returned to the donor at the end of the procedure. So for all those reasons, CNA opposes AB 1494 and the board the same. The next bill is AB 1120. CNA also opposes this bill, which is a reintroduction of a bill that the board previously opposed. That bill was AB 822 of 2019. Both bills would allow the use of unlicensed and inadequately trained phlebotomists to access indwelling IVs for the purpose of withdrawing blood from patients receiving infusion therapy. And this procedure is beyond the scope of phlebotomists and poses a threat to the health and safety of hospitalized patients. Instead, the starting, stopping, flushing, evaluation, and restarting of IVs is the responsibility of the direct care registered nurse, and these devices should be used by licensed and adequately educated professionals. Thank you for the time today.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. Board President Trujillo, there are no other public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Sure, thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to proceed with a vote on each bill, correct?
We can, and I will read off each one of the positions. So the first one is AB 815. The motion was brought by Dolores to watch, and Jovita did the second.
815.
So we'll take it to a vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Imelda?
No.
Betty?
Yes. Woods.
Jovita?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Ken?
I'm sorry, but which bill was this again?
AB 815.
So that's school nurses and credentialing. That's the title.
I got it. Thank you. I vote yes on this.
All right. So majority.
I'm sorry, I missed, mine is a yes. To support? Was it a
Yeah.
support? Yeah, sorry.
Watch.
It is, yes.
No, it was to watch, no?
To watch.
So AB
Oh, no.
815 was to watch.
Watch.
Okay, it's still no then.
Okay. So majority is yes. The vote to watch is carried. Next bill.
Is AB 864. The motion was Dolores to watch, and Betty was the second.
So we'll take it to a vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Imelda?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Betty?
Woods, yes.
Jovita?
Yes.
Okay. It carries. Okay.
The next bill is AB 103. The motion was brought by Betty to watch, and Dolores, you made the second.
Okay. We'll bring it to a
Is
vote.
that, I think that's 1083, correct?
It's 10.
1083.
Sorry, 1083. That is correct.
Okay. We'll bring it to a vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
Sorry, was that to watch or support? What was that?
Watch.
This one was a watch position on 1083
Okay,
for senior affordable
okay.
housing
I got it.
nursing pilot program.
I got it. My vote is no.
Imelda is no. Betty?
Woods, yes.
Ken,
The vote is to watch, correct? I just want to make sure this is confusing.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'll go yes.
Jovita,
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Right, we have majority. Did I leave anyone out?
You did not. If you go to AB 1120, and the motion was brought by Dolores to oppose, and Jovita seconded that. And that was the clinical laboratories blood withdrawal.
So we'll take it to a vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Imelda?
Yes.
Betty?
Woods, yes.
Susan?
Abstain.
Jovita?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next bill is AB 1477, maternal mental health. The motion was to support, that was brought forth by Dolores, and Jovita was a second.
So we'll take it to a vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Imelda?
Yes.
Betty?
Woods, yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Jovita?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Thank you.
The next bill was AB 1494, blood bank collection. And that was a motion to oppose brought forth by Dolores and seconded by Jovita.
Okay, we'll do the vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Imelda?
Yes.
Betty?
Woods, yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Jovita?
Yes.
And Ken?
Yes.
Okay.
The next bill is AB 1585. That was the bill for the extension on the implementation date for CDPH. And the motion was to support brought forth by Imelda, and Dolores was the second.
Okay, we'll do the vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Imelda?
Yes.
Betty?
Woods, yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Jovita?
Yes.
And Ken?
Yes.
Okay.
Next bill is AB 214. This is the Budget Act of 2021. The motion was to make no position. Dolores, I believe you brought that forward, and Imelda seconded it.
So we'll take it to a vote. Yeah, we still vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Imelda?
Yes.
Betty?
Woods, yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Jovita?
Yes.
And Ken?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The next bill is AB 285, State Department of Education, State School Nurse Consultant. The motion was to oppose by Imelda and was seconded by Dolores.
Okay.
I think I withdrew my.
She withdrew her motion.
I'm sorry. Yes, you did.
And-
Dolores, you were the motion that brought forth to oppose, and Jovita was the second. I apologize for that.
Okay, so we'll bring it to a vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Imelda?
No.
Betty?
Woods, yes.
Susan?
No.
Jovita?
Yes.
Ken?
No.
Yes or no? I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
No? Okay. So do we have a tied vote?
Yeah, that motion did not pass.
Okay.
So AB 285, we want to do a new motion. That was the State Department of Health, the State Department of Education, State School Nurse Consultant. And that was to remove the registered nurse component and allow it to be a school nurse with 5 years experience in a school health program management.
Can we table that for the next committee meeting? Is there a rush on that?
Reza, is that possible? That if the motion fails, what are our options with that?
Could we put a second motion out to watch?
Yeah, if the motion failed, you have a few options, but being that it failed as of now, you haven't taken any action. So if it failed, you can propose a new motion now. You could even propose the same motion again and see if it passes. Or you could leave it as it is and not take any action and revisit it later if you want.
For the sake of time, I would like to revisit it later. I mean, there's no rush on this particular bill, I don't think.
It is, I can let you know what the position is. It is in the Appropriations Committee assessments file. Yeah, nothing happening to it at the moment.
Okay, we could talk about it and put it on the agenda for the next board meeting. Is that what you're asking, Imelda?
Yes.
We can do that.
Okay, just so that we are aware, currently right now, the board does not meet again to do an official position until August. We can, of course, schedule a board meeting prior to that and take position at that point. So the final bill is SB 112, and that is the Budget Act of 2021. And there was a no position. Imelda brought the motion forward and Dolores was the second.
So we'll call for the vote. Dolores Trujillo votes yes. Imelda?
Yes.
Betty?
Woods, yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Jovita?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. I believe that was the last one, wasn't it?
It was. I do have one question for the board here. We did have a new format on this where Gurpreet created a bill analysis to have each one of the bills. And I know that since we can't have serial communication and stuff, it provided the summary, the legislative committee position, the board position, the reason for the bill, and any impact to the board. And I would love to get your feedback on whether you wish for us to continue that. And whether or not that was helpful or not, or if you have any suggestions for improvement that would assist you guys in that.
I think
And just a quick note, Chair Trujillo, the bill analyses are just for the direct impact bills. So that's just those 19 direct impact bills, not for the indirect impact ones.
That is correct, because it is specifically to show you what the general impact would be to the BRN.
Yeah. There are bill analyses available for the other ones as well, indirect ones, just for you to know purpose, intent, things like that. For most of them, and those are available on the committee websites, or when you click on the bill link, there's an analysis tab as well.
there are links attached to this, right? That anybody can go in and look at.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
My only, and maybe it's me because I do Excel, but I'm a novice, is I would like page breaks or print areas to be set so that I can print them. Not a huge deal, but other than that, I think Gurpreet, you're doing a wonderful job. You and staff, the current staff are really doing a wonderful job in analyzing these bills and following them. And I commend you.
And thank you, Gurpreet, for stepping up and filling in that position.
Those are big shoes.
One other thing that I'd like to mention is that yesterday was a very busy and full day, but yesterday was the end of Nursing Week, and we did not acknowledge our nurses who we serve. So I wanted to say Happy Nurses Day, Happy Nurses Week, and Happy Nurses Month to all of our licensees and all of the ones that we protect. It's been a rough year. And again, I apologize for not getting that out there yesterday as the meeting was quite packed. So we are a day late to acknowledge Nurses Week. But thank you. And thank you to our NECs.
Oh,
This is Ken
definitely.
Marco. I'd like to echo what Lori just said, and I didn't get a chance to comment on the information for Ledge. I think it's great. It gives you a lot more information on that. And so thank you very much for that. I do have a question for the board. So when we agree to oppose something, what happens after that? Do we just sit around and wait, or do we try to reach out to that particular legislative staff to share our reasons for that opposal to see if there's something on the table that we can come to an agreement, or do we just let it go?
There are multiple things that we do once we take a position on a bill, whether that is to support or oppose. The first thing that we do is the board staff with Gaprit and the ledge chair, which is Dolores. We will meet probably as soon as tomorrow, or maybe with tomorrow being Friday, maybe next on Monday. And we will write letters of opposition or letters of support and state our board's reasonings why. And then those letters will be submitted by the date that is required with the legislative staff for our positions to be heard. In addition to that, if it is a direct impact bill where the board would have to update regulation, change regulation, anything of that, we can request to have some meetings with them. And then interested staff members, which would have been our chief of ledge and myself, would then meet with those. Right now, our chief of ledge position is vacant, as was mentioned yesterday in public comment. And so that would probably end up being a meeting between myself and Gaprit, and any unit within the board that would be directly impacted that for either support or oppose. So we can work with that. I'm sure that in public comment you did hear where Saskia Kim said thank you to me for working with them. That was in a bill that was put forth for implicit bias training to be added, and it had some unintentional consequences in there. And so with board staff, we did meet with Saskia Kim and gave them some feedback, and they were able to amend the bill so that it could be implementable without any unintended consequences. So that is a process that is part of our board, and what we would do now moving forward, now that we have official board positions.
Well, thank you, Lloyd,
Okay,
for
so-
that. I'm sorry. Thank you for that. I do appreciate you working behind the scene, but it's important. I think it's important for this board, if there's any bills at the administrative hearing level or even at the committee level, that if there's oppositions, that we make a recommendation or why we're opposing. And at that time, it has been in the past that we request that you reach out to the author of the bill. So again, I appreciate behind the scene, but I think it's very important that this board have the opportunity, and we should be stating the reasons why we oppose, such as AB 2. I know that there was a watch, and I basically said, I think we were in agreement with one of the board members, but that's a great opportunity for us to have that discussion and to come up with something why we oppose and what we should relate to that particular author. So thank you. Sorry about that, Mr. Marlborough. Go ahead.
Oh, no, it's okay. And the reason why I asked, that was great. So I'll just use the example because I wasn't in on this one. So AB 410, we oppose that. And so when you put that letter together, since this is a public statement that has been pushed out to the public as to why we opposed it, that's in the documents. Does it reflect that when you write that letter to legislation?
Typically, a letter that is written to oppose would have why the board has opposed that letter. That typically comes from the meeting materials, the meeting minutes, and the discussions that's happened with the ledge committee as well as the board. With the example of 410, that's a bill that has been seen in different forms over several years.
Right.
And as the board would state that, as with the previous bill, we continue to oppose, then at that point we can bring that information in. It is a letter that is typically developed with the chief of legislation as well as the legislative chair and the board president or the board vice president before they go out. It is a collaborative thing and typically carries the signature of the board president and the board vice president on it so that they're able to do that. We don't do any general statements for quoting, however, or give credit to a specific board member. But what we do is in our meeting minutes that are posted on the website that go towards both the Ledge Committee and the board when voting on the legislative process, it does have each board member's position. So if there is a bill that is supported by you, Ken, it would say board member Ken Marble votes to support. And then if there was a bill that was opposed, then it would show by Dolores, it would show that board member Dolores Trujillo opposed that one. And so on those meeting minutes, that would have the specific thing on that. If you're wanting to update our meeting minutes, which is something that we can do, Gurpreet is new to this and we've made a lot of changes. Currently, you could see in our board materials that it just shows the committee position overall. Now, what is on like the ledgeinfo.com, if you go in there, it'll show specific member votes. And so if that is something that you wanted us to update, we absolutely can going forward, where there's a committee position or a board position on this grid, we could put the individual votes of the board members on that if you think that that would be helpful or something that you guys would want to see.
No, it's not that. I just want to make sure because, you know, as vice president since June of 2020, I've never seen the letter go out directly. So, and maybe that's because none went out. So I'm not saying that didn't happen.
June
but I just want to
2020?
make sure.
Is that June 2020? Member Marlboro? So
Yeah, I've been vice president since, so we probably hadn't done it. I don't know. And so I'm not familiar with it. And so I just wanted to make sure.
It was signed by the board president and the Ledge Committee and the
Vice
chief of
President
Ledge
was me.
because we had them. Yes, we had them in place. Now that we don't have a chief of Ledge in place, to have that additional level, we would include the board vice president as well.
Okay.
I would ask that, you know, any letter that goes out, we should all be copied on the letter. I mean, I don't see a reason why we're not copied on the letter that you're sending out.
Reza, would that then have to be publicly posted on our website in materials in order to share it with all members?
Just forget them.
Yeah, I don't, I mean, it's a public document. I don't think it would have to be posted to the website because it's not really meeting materials.
Okay, so then, yeah, that's as long as I'm not violating anything, we can absolutely send out copies of the letters that are sent out.
Yeah, thank you. And it needs to be done. So yeah, I would much appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We can do that.
Yep.
So,
thank you.
That's okay. I was going to say something, but that's fine. Sorry.
Okay, was there any further discussion on the legislative section of this agenda?
Okay, seeing that there's no further discussion or questions, I believe this is the end of the ledge portion. Now we go into closed session, correct? That's what I was
Yes. With it being 12:14 right now, you may, and us being in session since 9 o'clock without a break, you may consider having a break before going into closed session. I'll leave that up to the board.
Ressa, do we have to open it for public comments before we close?
I believe we did public comment for items not on the agenda yesterday as the opening item. I think, let me
Yes,
confirm
that
our
is
agenda.
correct. We did that at the beginning of the board meeting. We opened it up for items not on the agenda. There was one public comment. It was not to add additional agenda items, but to recognize a past board employee So we have met that requirement for Bagley Keene, and we do have the ability to go into closed session. Understand that when we do go into closed session, we will close out the webcast part of this, and as we will only be opening back up into open session just to close completely. But we will not be taking any more agenda items or any other further discussions.
Okay, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
The open session part.
Yeah, we're
of the
adjourning
meeting.
the open session.
To define which part.
Was it decided whether we're taking a break or
I would like to take.
I think we'll have
Let's take 15.
we've got a good amount to
Yeah.
talk about in closed session.
Yeah, let's take it. Let's take a 15.
So 12:30, enter into closed session, correct? Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Okay. Thank you.